And we are live. It feels so good to be back once again. Friday night, 8:30 p.m. EST. Where else would you rather be? We're ranking Survivor winners. Not only that, we're ranking the best Survivor winners of all time, determined by the Survivor content creators, the Survivor YouTubers, everyone you love. Here is the video I made for you to talk about it. Ranking every Survivor winner from worst to best with the biggest collab in Survivor YouTube history. Bringing your favorite content creators together, 11 different YouTube channels, 4 separate live streams. Finding out once and for all who is the best. We need to remember this is the average ranking of 11 Survivor YouTube channels. Well, technically 9 Survivor YouTube channels, 1 Big Brother YouTube channel, and 1 Hell's Kitchen YouTube channel. The rules are simple. We have 44 different winning Survivor games to work with. Everyone separately ranks the winners from worst to best. The worst winner was given 1 point and the best winner 44 points. I then put all the math together to come up with the best winner rankings of all time. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. All your favorite content creators were told the same thing. Rank these winners however you like and whatever you value most. Outwit, outplay, outlast, we have it all. We have it all, chat. I'm so excited to be here. We got Kyle in here saying, let's go. We got woohoo. Ethan saying, time to rock and roll, brother. And chat, this is crazy. Before the stream even started, we got Andre in here for a $5 dono, 3 Survivor royalty on Traders US Season 2. I don't know much about that, but thank you so much for the dono. Let's get some W's in the chat for that. So we got a big job to do today, ranking the best. Let us know, chat, who you think will be ranked number 1 and number 2. Might cause a little bit of controversy. But joining us today, as always, is my co-host, Flynnmasters. How's it going?
It's going well, going well. I can't believe I know we're talking about it. It just seemed like yesterday we were getting had our last podcast for the season rankings, and now here we are for the last podcast for the winter rankings. Crazy just how time flies. But happy to be here. Excited for this last one.
Yeah, last one. It's going to be amazing. Next up, we got Chris from the Nullified Take. Congratulations on just hitting 2,000 subscribers. How's it going?
Thank you so much. It's going good. You know, I love talking Survivor, and there's nothing more spicy than talking about the 11 best to ever do it.
There we go. There we go. And next up, we got also from the Nullified Take, Jake. In that email, you mentioned to me you're ready to defend your takes to the death. So I hope you're ready to do that today. I'm excited for it. How's it going?
I'm absolutely ready to do that. Nobody's been able to successfully sway me from some of my opinions, so we'll see if you guys can do that.
Oh, there we go. And last, but certainly not least, this dude is going through a crazy storm right now, so I'm just happy he's here. Thanks for coming. We got Peridiam. How's things going outside right now for you?
I just checked and there was like no wind, so I'm kind of confused. But there should be a storm hitting me within the next few hours. Hopefully I don't lose internet. But either way, I'm excited to get as many hot takes about why Chris Underwood was robbed, should have been number 1, is not going to be number 1. But we got a few hours to get to the bottom of it. I
love that. Hold on. For a second.
The winner of Survivor, Edge of Extinction, Chris. That's enough.
You're right. Chris was deserving to be number 1. I don't know how he was placed so low in last place. We got so much to talk about here, team. Before we do that, we got another dono here from Elliot. I'm sick, and this is exactly what I needed. Thank you so much, everyone. W's in the chat. This is amazing. Great way to start our Friday night stream. The crazy and probably most controversial part about the winner rankings we did was we left it wide open. Rank these winners however you want, whatever you value most. And so I think that's the best way to start this. We'll start with you, Chris. How'd you go about with your rankings?
So notoriously, I don't like winner rankings, and I've never done a winner rankings before because I feel like everybody who wins deserves to win, and they've got the money. So what does it matter what we, the fans, really think? But when you asked me to do this, I thought, time to take this thing serious, get out the spreadsheet, put a couple of categories together, and rank them across a few different categories. So what I did was I created a spreadsheet with a couple, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different categories. And I basically put a point system on each one of them and created a weighted system to spit out the rankings so that my personal bias was taken out of it. And I had a couple of surprising results, even for myself. when I had a look at this. So the rankings I did was across how much control did the winner have of their season, how did they do socially, how did the strategy that they applied to the season stick, and did it have an impact? How did they perform in challenges? How did they deal with the game rules, advantages, and twists? And lastly, probably one of the most important ones for me is entertainment. Were they entertaining when I watched them? So when I had all of this together, it gave me a mathematical sort of number at the end of it and spit it out my winners for me. So I didn't have to have my bias in there. And the biggest shock to me, and I know that we've already spoken about this, but I want to say this, is that number 2 on my winners rankings across all of this was Tyson Apostle. And I never thought that he would be that high when I first did this. And I know that he's already gone. He's not in the top 11, but gutted for Tyson, he didn't break into the top 11. If I had to do this without this formula, he probably wouldn't have been in my top 10 either. But clearly, when I started looking at it objectively across all of those categories, he was one of the best to ever do it.
That's just the most objective way to do it. How much did the entertainment value for Tyson boost him up there? Was it?
It was 10 out of 10. So
yeah.
Basically had 8 out of 10 for control of his season, 10 out of 10 for social play, 8 out of 10 for his strategy, 5 out of 5 for challenges, 4 out of 5 for how he played within the rules of that season, and 10 out of 10 for control, which gave him a weighted rating of 90% and basically ended him on second place in my winners rankings, which is crazy.
That's a cool way to do it. Yeah, that's really, really cool. You should make a separate podcast about that one day.
I probably
Anyways,
yeah,
you should. Jake, how'd you go about your rankings for this?
And Chris, I'm the engineer here. I should be like creating some sort of like formula to rank my winners. And I take this so seriously that I really should have done that. But if I'm being completely honest, it was mostly vibes. Vibes as in
I love vibes.
But I completely took out the entertainment factor. I purely looked at how well they played. So, like, for example, like Tommy Islander, I was not trying to call him out, but I had him really high. Even though he wasn't the most entertaining winner we've had, he was towards the top because I felt like he just had a stranglehold on that season. So I didn't rank entertainment-wise at all, purely based on how they played the game.
Interesting. And Peridiam, how'd you go about these rankings?
I think it was just like a giant blob of information for every single person. I've heard so many stories from like all 44 of them and how they played, and sometimes there's behind the scenes stuff that you hear that if influences your decision making. It's tough. Like Chris said, you're like comparing. It's not like we're comparing the same sport. It's like they played with different people at different times with different twists and different appearances. It's like is Boston Rob the Tom Brady is playing for his 4th time. He finally wins. Does that mean it's better or worse than somebody playing for their first time and winning? There's so many factors into it. I think the ultimate, it just came down to gut, like what my gut said. Like, how do I feel like
as well?
Yeah, and I didn't do it based on like entertainment value, how much I like them. I think there's probably some bias for sure, but most of it was just gut.
Nice. And Flynn, for anyone who's tuning in for the first time, how'd you go about your rankings?
Well, I don't go. I mean, I look at a combination of a lot of things, like how dominant they were is the main thing. How much, obviously, we talked about before, like how if they needed like immunities or whatnot, like that's a bad, or like how many idols they needed. How lucky they got's a big thing, because I think a lot of people, obviously look at Chris and Ben as the obvious lucky winners, but they forget about some lucky breaks, even from like people on the list we'll talk about today. There's some, even the dominant winners got pretty lucky. For me, that's what keeps some people out of top 5 and what can boost someone in the top 5. So just a whole combination of things, but dominance, luck, strategic ability, all that stuff kind of combination.
Awesome. I just got to say, we got Once Upon an Island in here saying, obviously, Natalie White will be number 1. Obviously. For me personally, how I went about my rankings is around the time of, I think, Survivor 41, 42, I made a video ranking all the winners. I took that exact video, and then I added in the rest of the winners, and then that's put out my rankings. Anyways, chat, I need to remind you at some point throughout the stream, we are going to be doing a giveaway for Idle Plays, my puzzle store. We're giving away this 5-piece puzzle that Spencer Bledsoe won during Survivor Cambodia. So pretty iconic there. If you stay tuned for a little later in the stream, we'll be giving that away. Starting off with the 11th best overall. I ranked this person 12th best. Flynn 14th. Peridiam 8th. Jake 12th. And Chris, you ranked this person 16th overall.
The winner of Survivor Game Changer, Sarah.
That was really, really loud. I'm sorry, anyone wearing headphones. But we got Sarah, the winner of Survivor Game Changers. Wow. This one's a weird one to talk about. We're all kind of around the same spot. Chris at 16th. I want to start a little more specific, then we can go broad afterwards. The Game Changers theme going into the season, Sarah's not a game changer. Obviously, now that could be debated. One of the best ever, maybe. Going into the season, does that theme help her, hurt her? How does that affect her win?
For me, it doesn't do
Chris,
anything
yes.
because, again, because I took my personal bias out of it and put it down to a spreadsheet, right? If it was, how did I feel about it? If it was about vibes
Yes.
like Jake, Jake knows I love Sarah Lacina. She'd probably be somewhere closer to the top 10 for me personally.
Challenge.
Yeah, because of the challenge, because of the fact that she's part of Cop Saras. Like, there's so much that goes into it where I'm a massive Cop Saras fan, Tony Vlachos fan. So, and I know that going into Game Changers, she took a lot of what she learned from Tony in that first season and applied it to her game. She even said, famously, when she went into that season, the first time I played like a cop, this time I'm going to play like a criminal or a thief coming into this game, and I'm going to be a bit more cutthroat. And I did love her game and how she played, how cutthroat she was that season. But when I started doing my rankings, I realized that there was a couple of places she fell short for me. Control, I don't think she was in control of most of the season. So Control, she got 7 out of 10, which is respectable. I think that she at sometimes had to play, and again, with the Control thing, she sometimes had to play and take a backseat to other people who were more prominent names coming into that season. She wasn't the biggest name coming into that season, so she played it right for her. This is when you put it purely down to numbers. Her social game was exceptional, so I gave her a 9 out of 10 on that. Strategy, I gave her 8 out of 10. I thought she was pretty good across the board on that season. Challenges, she surprisingly didn't do too much with the challenges, so 3 out of 5 for that. And then game advantages and rules. That's where she really excelled in that season, right? Because she had the vote advantage from memory, which she played correctly, and also the legacy advantage that she masterfully stole and then played as well. So there was a couple of things she did really well there. So I gave a 5 out of 5 for that. And then entertainment, that was an 8 out of 10 because I always love Sarah Lacina. I know some people don't like sort of the way that she comes across at times, and that can be debatable. But for me personally, I'm a big Sarah fan. So the fact that she dropped that low, this was one of my surprising outcomes with the way that I did my rankings.
Yeah, and then Peridiam, you are the only person in this group that you put Sarah within your top 10. And I wanted to know, I mean, we'll talk about it more with a lot of these players coming up, about do you value the all-star win, someone coming back to play Survivor another time? Does that matter to you in these rankings or not?
It somewhat does.
Playing again, you lost the first time, you know?
Yeah, I think it's in relation to other people who have also won playing for their second, third, fourth time. Comparing it to somebody playing for their first time in a group of all newbies is kind of different. I do think that experience is a huge leg up, which is why you tend to see imbalances, which is why I will just say I'm very shocked that you would put Tyson at number 2, Chris, because I feel like that is such an imbalanced head start advantage in a blood versus water season where you're against a bunch of newbies. But at the same time, it is what it is. Also pre-gaming. But then again, Sarah had some pre-gaming going into Game Changers. I was impressed by her ability to weave between multiple groups and thread that middle so tightly, like the TIE fight, like in Star Wars with the X-Wing dropping. Yeah, I was just like, and she was playing with some heavy hitters. It wasn't like it was a cast of absolute nobodies. It wasn't half newbies. It was all returning players who have played Survivor who should know better than to just straight up trust her or to trust anyone. She had misted Suri. Sorry, I shouldn't say misted. It's a Big Brother term. But she had Suri convinced she was her best friend. And Suri is a fantastic player as we're watching Big Brother. If you're watching BB25 right now, she's on the feeds. And her social game is immaculate. And I'm looking like, damn, Sarah is able to pull the wool over on Suri's eyes, on Aubrey, on Andrea. There are some strong players that played on this season that she was able to weave through and get to the, I'm like, it's pretty impressive at the end of the day. it's not my favorite win, and I don't think I like put her at number 8, which is still really strong. I think she does have some flaws. I also think if we're looking at the overall cast reputation, she's like bottom 5 for threats coming in based on her first game, which definitely goes a distance. Like that's worth something that will be in her corner as a pro compared to Suri, compared to Ozzy, compared to Tony of all people. These are people that came in with like a very short shelf life, and some of them didn't last long for that. So she did have that time and she used it incredibly well. I don't know. So I was like, I think I could make an argument for her being top 10. In this case, she's only top 11, but still.
There you go.
I just want to say, Peridiam, Tyson, I think ranking makes a lot more sense when you look at it in a vacuum, which is how
Probably.
I did my spreadsheet. Was I didn't take any consideration if it was a fourth time, first time, second time. It was just if they were all playing this game, how was his winning game? And that's sort of how I did that spreadsheet. But I appreciate it, because normally I'm not the biggest fan of half and half seasons at all. Like I hate those because of the imbalance and the imbalance in power. I know some people love fans versus favorites. It's not my favorite seasons.
Right.
I think we'll get it back one day. I think. I want to talk a lot about that legacy advantage move. I think that move is absolutely insane. Flynn, can you break that down a little bit for us?
I mean, not really much to say about it, except for just incredible gameplay on Sarah's part to be able to get Sierra to give her to that. And then, obviously play it off. Because again, with a game changer season too, you can play in any other season, whereas like alliances, obvious alliances, you probably couldn't do that. But in a game changer season, this is perfect because she was working with Sierra at points, throughout the season. Just like probably everyone was working with everyone throughout that point. So, and yeah, obviously able to use it to her advantage. Obviously totally got Suri with that as well. And pretty much guaranteed her Troyzan and Brad a spot in the final 3 at that point with her legacy advantage and of course Brad being a muted beast and Troyzan with his idol. So yeah, just an amazing gameplay all around. Definitely without question her best move of the season.
And Jake, I want to ask you, so not talking about her game here, talking about Sarah as a whole, do you think after Winners at War, after we've seen her play in Game Changers, after we saw her play in Winners at War, would you rank Sarah as a top 10, maybe even top 5 player of all time? If you're here, you're a little blurry. Jake. All right. So I'll say I think Sarah is. Yeah, I think we'll put Jake backstage for a second until we get started. I think Sarah is an amazing player, especially what we've seen in the later appearances. And chat, this for every single one of these winners, we do a rapid fire question, and I want all of you to get involved. All 40 of you in here right now, get involved, and you got to answer this question as. This one was going to be for Jake. I think Jake's here. Jake?
Hello, am I back?
Yeah, nice. So, rapid fire question time. No pressure. Come up with a better name for the season.
For the Game Changers season?
Random assortment of former players.
Boom.
Yeah, I like it.
There we go.
I don't think that one would. I don't think Jeff would like that one, but there we go.
If you want, I can answer your question from before. If you want.
Oh yeah, do it. Yeah, do it.
Personally, I would not like her top 5 because I would factor in all 3 of her games, and the first time she played just wasn't up to par, and she really got lucky that she even got invited back in the first place. So, and obviously I'm glad she did because she proved to us that she is capable of being a really, really good player. But when you look at all 3 of her games together, I think that knocks her down below the top 5.
Yeah.
I would ask if she wins Winners at War, is she top 5? Is she number 1? Is she ahead
I think
of Tony?
so. I have to. Yeah, I think she's the guy.
Have to be.
That's like a big question.
And she was so 3 games together. So yeah, she's definitely top 5 to me for sure.
Yeah, the 3 games together. I think that's why if you look at the 3 games together, I strongly disagree with you, Jake.
Well, she only made one mistake though, really, honestly, in Cagayan. In the 3 seasons, she's only made one mistake.
Yeah, I think that's why for me, when I said she was 16, but no, this is spicy. Like that was shocking to me because I put her down to a vacuum to one specific game. I think that's why she's dropped down. But if I look at her as a player and as a whole, I think she's definitely legendary status, very close to top 5 players of all time. for Survivor based on the 3 performances that she's had. Because like Peridiam said, if she wins at Fire, she's the GOAT because she most likely wins. And if we take into consideration that she came back for the challenge, won the challenge, then went back to the Challenge World Championship, went up against the best of the best, the strongest cast that we've ever seen on the challenge, by the way, by a country mile, the winners of war of the challenge. And she went to another finals and only didn't win because her partner got injured in the finals. She's got tier level reality TV. Like, she is goated.
You heard
Like,
it
I
here
don't know how
first.
we
Clip
can
it.
say.
Someone clip it.
I cannot see how we don't put her up a lot higher than that. Like,
And yet
Jake,
Chaos
that's a cold
Cast
take.
ended her. And yet Chaos Cast got her.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but
Of all
then
people.
again, Sarah Lacina's gameplay is that good that, you know, Chaos Cast has become nothing since then. Have never been asked to come back because people have wanted Sarah to come back. You know, so Sarah played producers better than Cass.
You forgot a second chance, Chris.
Ooh.
I'm coming out for my girl Sarah Lacina. Don't mess with Lacina,
got-
okay?
We got All Stars 2, Survivor. Hey, they played the game. Survivor Potluck, Survivor Game Changers versus Nobodies. This one's my favorite. Contenders versus Pretenders.
That'll go well.
Second Chance versus Legends. Lots of good ones there. Okay, we talked about Sarah for a long time. I've got Chris. Chris is a big fan. Chris is a big fan. Next up, for our
Really?
10th, we are now in the top 10 winners. I ranked this person 17th. So Flynn 8th, Peridiam 7th, Jake 9th, and Chris ranked this person 15th overall based on the algorithm. Let's do it.
The winner of Survivor San Juan del Sur, Natalie.
The winner of Survivor San Juan del
Natalie
Sur
White.
got Natalie.
Oh,
Boom. Yeah, Natalie White. What? Peridiam, let's start with you ranking Natalie the best out of all of us here. I think the big thing, can you like summarize this ending game for Natalie? Probably the second best ending game of all time, other than Chris Underwood.
I'd say it's better than Chris Underwood, in my opinion, because she does it before the final 6. No, you're gonna. We can talk about that. She does it before the final 6. She sets herself up and has to bide her time. Chris Underwood gets the homework gun for him on the edge of extinction, and then walks in with half an idol in his pocket. Different conversation, but I partially it's because she finishes the game incredibly strong. I think it's the strongest end game of any winner. I've made a joking montage for like 4 straight weeks where I ended every video of mine with a move she pulled off. I think it was my underrated dumbest moves in Survivor series, where I did 4 of them, and every video ended with the final 7, 6, 5, like, and I think it was also final 8 or something. I don't know, one of them, where she basically pulls off a fantastic move for her that secures her the victory by the end of the season. And it's basically she controls the direction of every vote in some way, shape, or form. And it's always best for her game above everyone else who's with her at that point in time. She's a bit quiet in the first half, but you don't win Survivor in the first half. You lose Survivor in the first half. It's the second half of the season where you need to come alive. And that's why I sort of weighted her game a little bit better. The amount of control, the amount of things she did for her above a lot of other winners for me felt like her game on San Juan del Sur, not Winners at War, just San Juan del Sur, was I could respect it enough to put her in my top 10. I do think her Winners at War game isn't as good. Obviously, she gets voted out first. She does come back. There isn't much to really talk about there. You could debate her social game wasn't very good on the edge of extinction. I think people will look at her and judge her harshly, like looking backwards from Winners at War. But I think that her San Juan del Sur game is incredibly strong. I don't know. It's another one of those things where I'm like, my gut says Natalie, and seeing her come back and do well again. She's got the physical game on lock. Clearly the strategic game she does well at. She's very good socially. She's a little bit fiery, could get her in hot water, but I don't know. Like, it also wins her jury votes, and she's got the passion behind her. So yeah, put her in my top 10.
7th overall. This was a blood versus water season, and that always changes the game a bit. We can't hurt that game, right? It's the season you're on, so you gotta play with the cards you're dealt. But Jay, can you talk a little bit about, do you think it helped? Obviously she ended up winning the game, but how it ended up happening. Her 20 got the first voted out of the season, and then we come all the way back here. Natalie wins the season. that's a great full circle story. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you could see it as both a pro and a con, because at some points during the game, the people who still had their loved one in the game were targeted, or sometimes the loved ones all banded together. And so depending on at what point of the game you're in, it could be beneficial or not to have your loved one still in the game. But she didn't even have to deal with that. It's just first one gone. And so you could really kind of make the argument of like, she had no one. She had to rely purely on her own social skills. You saw like one loved one will have made some allies. The other one will have made some allies. They band together and then they're all allies now. She couldn't rely on that. She had to rely purely on herself. So she was kind of a lone wolf in that regards. And then her closest ally, Jeremy, is voted out, blindsided, and she goes on a revenge tour. And as Peridiam said, she just kind of takes a stranglehold on the game and doesn't let go for the rest of the season.
Yeah, so I gotta touch on this next, Chris. 15th overall. I know it's all based on the algorithm, so touch on the algorithm, how it all happened. But why are you hating on Natalie?
I actually don't. I love Natalie. And again, it's like I said, I took personal bias out of this. I think one of the things that sort of stood out for me with her game was the control part. It's similar to Sarah Lacina, who's 16th. They're actually within 2 percentage points of each other, and they've got very similar scores across the board for me. I gave her a little bit less control, like 7 out of 10 compared to Peridiam, because in the early stages, there were things going against her, and she wasn't necessarily driving the vote. But I will say she responded to it well, and Peridiam brought up a very good point in regards to you don't win the game in the first half. You win it in the second half, which is where she really performed. So in hindsight, maybe I could have given her a point there, which would have put her higher. I don't hate the fact that she's in the top 10. I think she's a pretty good player. I think the physical side as well. I think we remember Natalie from Winners at War, where she was physically stacked. And you look at that, she did win, I believe, 1 or 2 immunities that season, but she wasn't like the beast that she became when she came back at Winners at War. So for me there, I gave a 4 out of 5, not 5 out of 5, which would have probably been different on a Winners at War season. And then for how she played within the game advantages, she actually smashed it for me there, 5 out of 10. Overall, her entertainment was 10 out of 10. Strategy, I gave her 8 out of 10. For strategy, there's a couple of things I'm really impressed with, and we haven't even spoken about this yet. One of the things was how she played with her prey and John, and made him believe that she was friends with him, ended up getting him to play an idol, which then got the trust of John moving forward into the game, which I thought was very impressive. But she always knew she wanted to take revenge for Jeremy being voted out of the game. So I thought that was a great long play. It showed that she had that, strategic sense to sit on a plan and not necessarily act immediately. And also she played really well with a wild card in Keith, R.I.P. Keith, who was one of my favorite players of all time, but she played really well with him and bringing him in on the Alec vote, for instance, knowing that he was a number that she could use in the game when other people weren't seeing him as a valuable player. And then obviously the end game was very strong. So overall, like I said, I don't hate this placement for her, maybe a little bit lower than the rest of you based on the algorithm across the board, but that's nothing against Natalie. That's just there are other players I thought across the board stacked up better when I put it down to the numbers.
That makes sense. Now, chat, be ready for this. There's 57 of you in here, so if you haven't already, like the video, but also it's rapid fire question time, so that's more important. It's for Flynn. We got so many moves to talk about. Peridiam literally highlighted some of them, montaging them in his videos. So, Flynn, I want you to say what is Natalie's best move all season. Chat for you as well. What's the best move?
I think it's got to be the idol play at the final 5, right? Just impressed in the jury. Pretty much put her in a great spot, broke up Baylor and Missy. And yet despite that, Missy and Jacqueline, and for that matter, Keith, if he would have won, would have still taken her to the end, and she would have beat all 3 of them. So, yeah, flashy move that pretty much guaranteed her spot in the final 3, and she wins either way. So, yeah. I agree, Jimmy. The Baylor blindside. Yeah, I think everyone agrees.
Also, the Alec vote for me is key, because if she didn't take out Alec where she did, John and Jacqueline would have had that number moving forward in the game. It's a more subtle move. It's not as flashy, but I think that move probably is one of the 2 moves that won her that season and ripped control away from John and Jacqueline that season, who were a power couple and doing really well.
Peridiam,
it's such a hype moment. Oh, yeah, totally. That was the first video I ever made on my channel 6 years ago, was because I loved that move so much that I was like, I want to talk about like the flashiest moves ever made by winners. And that was my number one. And that was 6 years ago. And I've used that moment so many times. It's so good. I mean, she plays it so well. Like even at the Final Four, she convinces Keith to vote for Missy over her. And that's another great little moment. Like she leverages her relationship with Keith to get the target off her. She's a really good player. And yeah, I would be happy if she came back one more time without the edge.
Yeah,
No, bring back the edge. Bring back the edge. Next, Survivor 45 players want the edge back. Next up, number 9, 9th place overall. I ranked this person 16th. Flynn 7th, Peridiam 11th, Jake 11th as well, and Chris ranked this person based on the algorithm 9th overall. So right on the money.
I'll read the last vote. Winner of Survivor China.
I think, Chris, we got to start right with you here, getting right on the money with your algorithm. Let's break that down to start with. That's crazy.
Yeah, so for Control, I ranked him 8 out of 10. Social Game, 9 out of 10. Strategy, 9 out of 10. Challenges, 3 out of 5. Game Advantages and how he played within the season rules, 5 out of 5. And Entertainment, 8 out of 10, giving him a total weighted rating of 84% for his game that season and coming in at number 9 overall. And I was very happy that he did make the top 10. He's a person that I was sort of gutted not to see come back and play the season again in Winners at War, that he didn't get that invite to come and play the game. I think he would have been a great addition to the show. Obviously, there was a period after this show that we didn't see him for obvious reasons. For those who don't know, go do your homework. We won't talk about it too much, but he's now in the clear, and we'd love to see him come back and play Survivor once more. By the way, also he does the pop shop stuff, which is pretty cool if you haven't seen that yet. So he's still very much ingrained within Survivor. But I love Todd from that season. I think one of the things that for me was very clear, like we talk about how you don't win the game in the first half. Well, Todd is an example of a player who did win it in the first half because he actually created all of his alliances very early on, stuck to it. It probably doesn't work as well in the new age game. Well, that's what Jeff would like you to believe. I think it could still work, but he kind of forces players to do more of a scramble at all times with the twists that he's bringing into the game. But, you know, him working very closely with James, Amanda, with Denise and Courtney, that was one of my favorite alliances. So many, you know, seeing him, James, Amanda, and Courtney together was amazing, specifically, and how they ran that season. And then even to the point where I'm a massive Amanda fan, and I wanted Amanda to win, but how he sort of took control of all of the votes towards the end, he got all of the praise for the moves that they did together with his final tribal performance, which was amazing. How he stroked the ego of someone like a John Robert, who thought he was the mastermind of the season, with the whole thing of, why did you take me out? Well, I was afraid you were going to win, or you were too big of a threat. Those are the things that kind of still stand out for me. And how John Robert clocked him early in the season and said, you're too smart for this game. And he kept him on side throughout it. There was just so many great moments with Todd. And I think he is truly one of the best social strategists that we've seen play this game.
Yeah, I think the thing that hurts me and personally why I ranked now, is it too fair? Was I too harsh on the guy looking back on it? Maybe ranking him 16th, but a 16-person cast and it's a final 3. I think that makes it like the argument of skill versus luck into Survivor. Now, things out of your control, I'm sure, but also that it's an easier ride than, say, a 20-person season, final 2, per se, right? So, Jake, I'm going to ask you, we can talk about Todd specifically.
Can I just ask you one question on that? Don't you think it's more impressive the fact that he'd never really had any, like the immunity idols that season were the biggest thing that season? Don't you think it's more impressive that he never really had those idols in his possession? But even though he didn't, he always knew where it was, and he knew, and he knew how to manipulate the person who had the idols in the game as well. So effectively, it was kind of in his control.
But also, that is one of the dumbest move, if not the dumbest move in Survivor history. So apples and oranges, you know what I mean?
We're gonna be talking about a very spicy take about dumb moves and certain winners being ranked very high very soon. So remember this one for later on.
Jake, my
spoiler alert is gonna come. I'm gonna hold you to this one, Russell.
Chat, be on my side. I'm gonna kick Chris out. Don't worry. Luck versus skill in Survivor. Todd? Tell me about it, Jake.
I mean, personally, I don't think that Todd really got that lucky. Besides, I mean, I guess that twist in the pre-merge where they sent the two to the other tribe, switched them. I guess you could say that was pretty lucky that that twist totally benefits kind of the weaker physical players. They're not going to be sent to the other side. But really, I felt like he just had control from the merge on. I mean, really, any luck didn't make much of a difference, in my opinion, for Todd.
Yeah, and Peridiam, I know when we did the season rankings once upon a time ago last year, you love the season of Survivor China, ranking it one of your top favorite seasons. So I want to know, I thought it was number 1 or number 2. So you love the season Survivor China. I want to know how much overall how a season affects how you rank a winner. Because obviously top 11 still high up for you. But I assumed going into this before I got your rankings, Todd would be much higher just based on your love for the season.
I think I almost ranked him too high at number 11 in a way. I have never been super fond of his game, even though I adore him as a winner. And I love this season and I love a lot of the cast. It's like my favorite final 3. I think Todd is but I gave him a little bit of kudos. Also, I got 2 of his pop shops behind me over my shoulder over here. I feel like he creates a very solid structure at the beginning, and he basically keeps all of the pieces on his side, despite there's some turbulence in the middle of the season with the swap and the early merge with James having 2 idols. You could say he created his own problem with giving James an idol, but then the idea was like they were going to lose one, and he was only supposed to have one. And James was like, he trusted James enough to keep him in his pocket. And it worked. It worked out well enough. And he was trying to blindside James actually before they did at the final 9, but they got rid of Jean Robert. That was partially Amanda's influence. I don't know. How much does it influence? A little bit, I think. A little bit. But like my favorite winners are 2 of my least favorite seasons. The 2 best winners that I ranked on this are, I think, my bottom 2 favorite seasons. So I would say my bias is a little bit. I try to remove it as much as I can. But I do really enjoy Todd as a player. I wish he could come back. I think he plays a great game for the most part. Luck. I mean, it is like, there's a lot. It's an interesting season because it's 16 with a final 3. So there's like, I don't know. Yeah, I understand the argument there. Whereas like say Micronesia, the next season is 20 people with a final 2. It's a lot more difficult in that sense with the numbers. But I just think like he gets a solid group at the beginning. They get to the swap. He pulls in a few people from the other tribe, gets them loyal. Frosty's on his side. Sharia's on his side. Gets to the merge with the numbers. Starts making moves. Secures himself.
He was never in danger. Like no one ever.
He creates a strong narrative that keeps his allies that were considering voting him out at the final 4. Amanda and Courtney have said like postseason they considered voting Todd out at the final 4. But Todd convinced them otherwise because he said, Denise has got the sob story and they'll vote for her, and they would have voted for her. And he's like, at least with me, I'm dislikable and we're all in the same, we've all taken part in this crime of getting rid of this whole group of people and then robbing them of winning $1 million. We're all a part of it. And it was very, very smart of him. So his like Chris was saying, his odds of losing the game were never really in jeopardy, even though it did take a few dumb moves from James, from Eric, per se, to potentially get him out, but it didn't happen. So, I
agree.
Chris, you're going to be in the hot seat all night. I'm putting you in the rapid fire question here. You talked about Todd having one of the best final tribal council performances of all time. Simple yes or no. Give a little explanation why as well. Is this the best final tribal council performance of all time? In chat, I want a yes or no from you, but Chris, give me a little more detail.
I think it's the second best final tribal council performance of all time after Chris Daughtry's, who's the best final tribal performance of all time. But definitely, I think the reason that I would say it's the second best is because Amanda, as good as Todd was, Amanda was the opposite. Yeah, she sucked at that final tribal council. I mean, I went into that. I saw some people saying that they were big Courtney fans. I was a big Amanda fan that season. I wanted Amanda to win. To be honest, the personal bias was the thing. And the fact that she just couldn't articulate her moves well or own them, Todd really, and I think this is where it comes into what Peridiam was sort of trying to explain or finding hard to articulate, was that his emotional intelligence is off the chart. Like, he sees certain things in people and he knows how to pounce on it. Like the whole story about Denise, if she gets to the end, she's got the sob story. He knows that John Robert likes to have his ego stroked. I'm going to pounce on that. I'm going to talk that up. He can see when Amanda is hesitating. He can talk up how little influence she had in certain moves and how he actually took control and leaded her in those moments. So I think that the way that he dances through the questions and uses that manipulation is what makes him one of the best final tribal council performances of all time. And that is why he won. And don't forget, Amanda's a A-tier player. I mean, you don't get to the end twice. You play the game how many times? I think she was over 100 and something days the first time she got voted out. So to beat someone of that stature, if you take that into account, it actually elevates his win in my mind even more.
No killer instincts. But
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Next up, we're going to take a little break from our number 8, who I'm really excited to talk about. Chat, you'll be excited for this person. But we got not favorite winner. Obviously, we'll be talking about the best one soon. I want to talk about an underrated winner. A winner that we're not talking about today. Someone who you think the rest of the Survivor content creators were hating on too much. That got robbed in these rankings. Someone that you want to defend to the death. Jake, I know you want to defend some of your takes to the death, so we'll start with you. Who's someone who's underrated?
Man, there were a few winners when I looked at the full ranking and looking at everybody's individual ranking, because I was just like, wow, so different from mine. I think probably the biggest one, and I know Chris, looking at yours, you are super low on her, is Erica from season 41. I think that she's pretty underrated. I think at the time of her winning, there was some mixed reactions. Some people thought Xander was robbed, but I feel like for the most part, the online Survivor community was okay. But man, looking at the rankings, what was she? Her final ranking was 31st.
Yeah.
Let me see. Where did I put her? Let's see, that would be 25th. No, 22nd. I don't know. Somewhere in the 20s. Yeah. So I felt like she was underrated. I feel like she didn't go to Tribal Council in the pre-merge, but and you could say that was pretty lucky, but I felt like from then on, she played as well as she could have. She played under the radar and came out right at the end and had a good social game, underrated.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring up the very first podcast that you guys did for a bottom tier winner ranking. Someone that I think is not bottom tier, but I think probably around mid tier is Ben Driebergen. I'm a big Ben Driebergen fan. I don't agree with the hate online because of the fire making twist. That's not something that he had anything to do with. It was brought into the game by the producers. I think that, a lot of people discredit the game he played prior to that, being a leader of his alliance in the early stages, going into the merge, being seen by a lot of people as the person who's probably going to win the game, because he was that popular. And then obviously when they started turning against him, he started finding a lot of idols. There's still a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that believe that idols was given to him in that season, which I don't believe. And also I think, Chrissy, she kind of lost the game because there were times where she was being condescending towards the other people on the island, and they wanted her to vote. Or they wanted she wanted them to vote for her at the end. And you could clearly see the edit showing us where she lost the game. So I think Ben is not as low as you guys ranked him in the beginning. In my mind, he's at least somewhere in the mid-tiers. I had him actually bam smack in the middle at number 24. So I wanted to give a bit of love for Mr. Ben Driebergen out there as well. I think he's a better winner than that.
Peridiam.
I feel like it's got to be Danny Boatwright.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Boatwright, 27th, I think you guys had her aggregate, but I would strongly disagree. I don't think she does. I don't think she does anything wrong. She's not just top 10. I think she's top 5. I think she's incredibly underrated. I was gonna say Tina, but you guys, she was like 19th, I think, which is pretty good. I was like, oh wow, okay, she got a little bit of love. I think Danny doesn't do anything wrong, and if you watch her game and realize what she's doing every step of the way, yeah, she's in a bad spot, but she makes the most of it, and she does a great job. I think she plays like the best come from behind underdog victory you'll see. And this was early Survivor when people didn't know as much about the game. Like, I would say season 11 is when the game shifts quite dramatically to being less about the experience and more about like the cutthroatness of it all. Yeah, I think Danny does a lot, and she doesn't get enough credit for it. And I could talk about it. I've talked about her a lot too. Also, I've gone over a lot of her game, but like if you just look at every phase of Guatemala and where Danny's at, who she's with, what she's doing, what we get from her, and you try to combine that with some of the postseason information you'll find, you start to add up. And I could be talked off. Maybe I'm missing something, but everything I've seen so far is just she's really good. And it's unfortunate because Winners at War is another thing where you look at it and you're like, what was that? But that's also just a different game. It's a different cast. It was like 15 years later. And I also just didn't factor that in when I looked at like winning games. Like, yeah, I'm not looking at every player's individual performance. So I don't really look at Winners at War and factor that into Guatemala at all.
There we go. So, number 8, someone who I'm excited to talk about. I rank this person number 5, top 5. Flynn at number 6. This one hurts me. Peridiam ranked this person 13th overall. Jake 8th overall, and Chris as well 13th. You guys are wrong for ranking this person outside of the top 10, but we'll be talking about it very, very soon. Oh, I have to, 1 second. Oh, I have to put in the winner clip. This person got deleted out. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You gotta love high-speed internet. Here they go.
The winner of Survivor, Edge of Extinction, Chris. The winner of Survivor, Cagayan,
The winner of Survivor, Cagayan. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
We got Chris and Tony.
How'd you do that?
That was
all
all.
perfect.
It was perfectly planned. It was perfect. Chat, what do you think about Tony here? Coming top 8. I think Tony is the GOAT of Survivor. I'm sure we'll be talking about this all throughout the stream. We'll start with you here. You're putting the GOAT outside of the top 10. I want to hear your
Well,
thoughts.
hold on. This is Cagayan. This isn't
Cagayan. Yeah.
This is just
Cagayan. His name's also Tony. So
that's true. His name is Tony. There's technically a Tony on Survivor Fiji if you want to talk about Anthony, but
I thought it was winner rankings, not who's the GOAT of Survivor, because if that was the question, yes, Tony's number 1.
Well, I only ranked it number 5, not number 1, because there's another Tony game coming soon. I think the way he balances alliances, bouncing back and forth. Flynn, you ranked this guy number 6. Can you please be on my side for a little bit here and talk about how amazing this guy is?
That's the thing. Yeah, he played the post-merge. I mean, pre-merge, say what you will about throwing challenges, if that was a good move to get rid of Clip and whatnot, and obviously him screaming top 5, and of course the merge vote, the turning point of the season, that wasn't really his move. That was pretty much Trish, getting a cast the flip on Sarah. So like, say what you will about his pre-merge game. If it's, I mean, he was never really in trouble, maybe not dominant.
I was like, he's not really defending you much,
but that
Russell.
Okay, so as I was saying,
but that post-merge game is just unbelievable. Just going back and forth between alliances with Wu on his side the entire time, and then when with the super idol, just play that to perfection to the point where if they ever try to turn on him or Wu, it would be Wu who got the votes or just someone in his alliance. Again, use that super idol to perfection. Speaking of Wu, I mean, I think it's a bit of an overrated move as him convincing Wu, but still the fact that he was able to do it is still insane nonetheless. Just unbelievable post-merge. The fact that a big target like him cannot win any immunities but play that dominant game with his stature is just, with his personality, it's just insane game.
You know what, Jake, we're going to go to you next because I value your opinion so much, ranking this guy number 8th overall, and it was 8th overall. So Jake, I think you got this perfect. You understand Tony. So let's talk about you with what you think about Tony's game here.
I was surprised. I thought he was going to be ranked higher, and I thought I was going to be having to defend myself, putting him a bit lower, not in the top 5, but I was right on the money. So I would say that he's just, I think with hindsight, we know how much better of a game Tony can play. You know, he's so erratic, so like paranoid. If you watch the season back, I was just talking about this in a podcast with Chris. Tell me a scene where Tony is not sprinting at full speed in that season. He's just zipping around the entire time. The dude cannot catch his breath, which you could say like, hey, he's working hard. He's playing the game hard, but like, dude, like he's so erratic and so like, so I feel like I'm going too far in the other direction, but the fact that he was just so out in the open, so at the forefront, and he wasn't getting votes. He had the super idol, but no one really believed him when he said he had it. And then Flynn mentioned it, but the fact that he was able to convince in a final 2, he got unlucky that ended up being a final 2, where every other season had been a final 3. Final 2, he was crap at challenges, and he was still able to convince his closest ally, who knew how dangerous and how good of a game he played, to take him to the end over Cass, who everyone hated. So, yeah, I think, you know, his erraticness and ability to not just take a chill pill brings him down, but really strong game.
So, Chris, be really careful here. You might get kicked out of the stream, but I want you going over the algorithm a little bit. Explain Tony at top 13, and then tell me afterwards, if it wasn't for the algorithm, why you'd really rank Tony in your top 5.
Listen, Tony is number 1 in my heart. Like, he's like the number 1 goated player of all time. And when I saw his first season, I think I really personally struggle to rank Tony's Cagayan season because it is such a unicorn season. The way he won, like, common logic would tell you that no one should win that way. No one should be able to jump back and forth. You know, like he said, in the daytime, he would backstab someone in his alliance. At nighttime, he would scramble thinking about how does he go the next day and then run around and apologize to everyone. But I think a big part of his game was Trish. If she wasn't there to help him with the rest of the people that season, maybe he would have struggled a little bit more. And she kind of helped him get back into the good graces of the people that he needed in that season. So I think just the way that he played sporadically was I don't think it's something that you can take and replicate. So it's always funny when you see these new players coming in and saying, oh, I think I'm going to be like Tony.
Shouldn't you rank it better if it can't be replicated? Shouldn't it?
Well, it's hard to rank it against other games that it's shown us a blueprint of how to just be in control of the game and never worry. Like I couldn't, like if I played Tony's game, I would go in being 36, come out of that game being 56. Like I would age 20 years afterwards. I would be a lot more gray. You know, I don't know how his heart handled playing the game the way that he played it. But overall, the algorithm ranked him 8 out of 10 for control that season because he kind of was in control in his mad dash kind of way. I ranked him 8 out of 10 on his social game because I think no one else does it better when it comes to going back and groveling. And clearly, you know, for someone that doesn't watch a lot of like sport or do anything social outside of Survivor, he finds things that you can have commonality with people out there, and they kind of like him. They wanted to play with him. Everybody talked well of him afterwards. Strategy, again, his strategy was a 7 out of 10 because I just don't know for me if that strategy can be replicated in other seasons and how he would do. We know that he came back and reinvented himself, and I'm excited to talk about that game later on. Challenges, a lot of people forget that he wasn't a challenge beast that season. He didn't really start winning individual immunities or anything like that until he got to Winners at War. So for challenges, I actually gave him 2 out of 5. I might have been a bit critical on that one, but I didn't give him a good rating on that. They also, as teams, like I believe he was in the losing team quite a few times as well. So it wasn't even like in those team sections like he was dominating either. How he played within the rules of the season, I gave him a 5. And then entertainment, if I could give him 12 out of 10, I would have, but I had to give him 10 out of 10 on this. Overall, giving him a weighted rating of 81.5% overall on the season. But love Tony, love this Cagayan season. By the way, Cagayan's my favorite season. So it didn't, again, my bias didn't come into play when I ranked him in the spot that I did. But I'm happy to see him crack the top 10 nonetheless.
I'm curious, top of your head right now, it's impossible to rank players like this, but without the algorithm, top of your head, where would you rank Tony from Cagayan?
Probably top 5 somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to get kicked out.
Oh.
Peridiam, we got the rapid fire question for you and for chat as well. I think I already know the answer for what you're gonna say. We had a lot of things happen this season. We had a super idol. We had the final 3 situation, Woo picking Tony. What would you say this season ranking Tony of luck versus skill, and what goes into this winning game of Survivor? More luck, more skill.
Would I say he played with more skill or he got more lucky? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, definitely skill, for sure.
Mm.
I had his winning game at top 13. I mean, in Cagayan. Yeah, I would definitely say skill. I mean, he's the kind of guy who he runs so many laps ahead of everybody that he overplays himself into bad spots, but then he keeps playing and he gets himself back into the good spot. Yeah. And that's sort of the story of Tony, and it sometimes works. It unfortunately flamed out in Game Changers, but it didn't 2 out of 3 times. And I do think Winners at War Game is better than Game Changers. We'll probably talk about that shortly.
Oh, really?
But yeah,
that's a hot take.
Hottest take ever.
Okay, there we go. Chat agrees most of the part. Skill, equal amounts here as well. Convincing Wu to take him was some luck.
I mean, there's definitely luck. Well, there's always luck with who you get to play against and who you're playing with. Having Wu on his team, who's like all about honor and integrity, you're not going to find that guy every season.
Probably
and if it's not that guy, like he probably doesn't get first. He probably gets third or less. Having Trish so dedicated to Tony from the very beginning, getting on the same swap and forming that bond, and having Cass want to like play from a different position at the merge versus and having Trish there to help flip her. If that doesn't happen, if Trish might not be there, maybe he's just a merge boot or whatever, 9th place, 8th place. So there's a lot of luck that goes into Survivor, but I would like to think like he plays so hard. There's a lot of skill too.
He made the most of his luck.
Ooh.
There you go.
There we go. Like that answer. Next up, I've seen this person in literally all 4 parts of this video series, all 4 of these live streams. This person's name has popped up in chat. Where is this person? When is this person coming? I've been surprised how much people have been talking about this person. 7th overall, I have this person. 10th overall, Flynn 9th, Peridiam 18th, Jake 6th, and Chris 22nd overall.
The winner of Survivor
Wow. The winner of Survivor Palau, Tom. This one surprised me a lot. People were on either side of the spectrum here, and people in chat were as well. Everyone was kind of conflicted on how to rank Tom. An old school game here. Jake, we're going to start with you ranking Tom 6th overall, the best out of everyone here. Going about your vibes for how you rank these winners, how much of your vibes was about being a challenge beast, being good at challenges? Does that go into it, or does that not really matter for your vibes showing Tom?
No, not really. Really, what the vibes were with Tom was just the control, just over the game. I mean, it just always felt like it was his game to win the entire time. Like, and just by the end of it, like, I don't know, it just felt dominant, you know? I don't know. That's the vibes that I got.
Yeah, makes sense. So then, Peridiam, what were your vibes with 18th for Tom? What was that going like?
Tom's overrated. He's overrated. He doesn't go to immunity. He doesn't go to a tribal council for the first half of the season, which is partially due to his own skill. I'll give him that, and that's a very important part. Winning challenges especially in the first half. If you can avoid getting voted out by not even having to get a vote cast against you, it's not even possible, other than one time. And you've got Willard, dead weight. Poor Willard. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I know like Tom does some challenge hacks here and there. He's a pretty crafty guy when it comes to challenges. He wins a ton of them in the post merge, and he loses control of his numbers halfway into the merge. And he kind of has a moment where he's actually in a lot of jeopardy, and it requires Karen kind of blown up her game a little bit and making a really dumb move. And it requires the other
sucks.
players not being on the same page, and Tom squeaks by. And it was just, he does a good job, like keeping Karen on his side enough to not do the smart thing for her game by voting him out. And then he does, but I'm like, that's less Tom and more what's happening over there. And then also there's just like the implosion of the Ian situation at the end. I don't hold anything against Tom for like whatever gaslighting or however you want to view it as like manipulating Ian to throw the game away. If anything, that's pretty skillful in my eyes, and probably I'd give him kudos. But I don't know. He had the numbers against him, and if he didn't go to the lengths that he had to win these challenges, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he gets a lot of credit for having so much control. But I really think when you look at what's happening every episode, he actually doesn't have that much control going down the line. He had a clear target in Stephanie, who everybody wanted out. He was against Greg and Jen, and Katie flipped on him. And Ian at one point was willing to flip on him. So I don't know. I'm like, he's not a bad winner. I have him in the top half. I have him at 18th, but it's a little vanilla in my eyes.
Yeah. Flynn, I want you to touch on a little bit how you feel about how Peridiam put it, the gaslighting situation, the whole Ian situation that happened near the back half of the game.
Oh, I think that's awesome. Probably one of the most villainous moves by a hero. I mean, you cannot get more heroic than Tom, a 9/11 firefighter. I mean, you cannot get more heroic than that. And for him to do what he did to poor Ian half his age, just absolutely gaslighting him after being out in that challenge for 12 hours, making not even like before that too. You know, how dare you flip on me? You know, poor Ian's like really the only guy like smart enough to take out Tom, which again is why I think he's such a dominant player. That Tom's such a dominant winner. That Tom's such a dominant player, and really Ian's the only one who had the the smarts to take him out. You know, and then Tom absolutely just turned that around on him to the point where Ian, after 12 hours, just pretty much gave him the win. It's such an amazing move, and that's really highlights Tom's game for me. You know, not only probably one of the most villainous moves by a heroic winner ever, by a heroic player ever, but just an absolute amazing move in general.
I could be wrong, Chris, but I think you ranked Tom the worst out of everyone. So we got the algorithm thing, but your personal opinions on Tom, I think you are agreeing with Peridiam pretty much here. Do you think Tom's not a good winner? Yeah, you think he's right where you're
like, listen, I think Peridiam kind of stated what I was thinking right throughout. I think the only thing that I can add to that is that he had one of the lowest rankings from an entertainment standpoint for me as well, which really hurt him on this one. I gave him 6 out of 10. I think Peridiam said it best at the end when he said it was kind of like vanilla. I think he's a nice guy. It's nothing against him. It's just not the kind of TV personality that I gravitate towards. So maybe my bias did skew that a little bit on this one when I did the rankings across the board. 7 out of 10 for control, social game 8 out of 10, strategy 7 out of 10 for the reasons that Peridiam said. There was times when he didn't have full control. He was a bit helped by not having to do much until he got to the merge. Challenges 5 out of 5, gave him good points for that because he was a challenge beast. Game rules and advantages was a 3. Those early seasons, most of them ended up on a 3 because there wasn't much game mechanics for me in it. So also not one of my most entertaining type of seasons, I think. And then, like I said, an entertainment 6, and overall he had a rating of 76% across the board on my rankings.
Nice. Rapid fire question time, chat. Be ready. 53 of you in here. This one's for Flynnmasters. I'll give Chris a little bit of a break here. Can a player like Tom win in the new era of Survivor? Yes or no?
I mean, like I said, I kind of said this last
yes
week.
Or no?
Like
Yes or no?
Yes, of course. Anyone can win now. After Gabler, anyone can win.
True. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Chat, what do you think? Can someone like this win? Oh, we got no.
Oh, no, that's crazy.
We got all no's actually right now. So
yeah, I don't think so.
Yes, anyone can win.
Well, to the chat, why could he not win? I don't get it. I mean, I don't get that.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next person. But chat, give your reasons why.
I don't like the chat's going against me. I don't get that.
Chat, you gotta do your homework now.
Wow.
Yeah, chat's always right. Heck, we got heck no.
Heck no. What the
heck no?
Wow.
If Gabler wins, anyone can.
Yeah, I don't get this. Is weird. Okay, I'm sorry.
You guys are like, again, you're throwing hate on my boy Gabler. Gabler did a lot right that season. That's going to be a different podcast.
So good time. Okay, well, yeah.
Put some respect on Gabler.
The alley gave that. Okay, next up, chat. Someone who this might be the most divided we have so far. 6th overall. I ranked this person 11th. Flynn 24th. Peridiam 2nd. Jake 14th. And Chris 3rd. So we have a couple of people 2nd and 3rd. One dude who I think I'm going to have to kick out, 24th. And then me and Jake right down the middle.
The winner of Survivor Redemption Island, Rob.
Flynn, I'm starting with you. Why are you a hater?
Yeah, I mean, because it took him.
All right, we're going to take him backstage for a bit. Peridiam, we're going to.
You know what, Russell Muscle?
Second.
This podcast is getting the better of Flynn. You know, he's getting the. He respects this podcast too much.
Here's what we got to do. We're each going to find a buddy between the 4 of us. If Flynn starts acting erratically, we just vote him out.
Yep.
I love that idea. I love that idea.
Stick to the
Flynn,
plan, everyone.
You get one chance, Flynn.
I mean, look at the tribe. I mean, the tribe was like all, attractive young females who just adore the poor guy. I mean, again, 4-time player. He obviously knew what he was doing. Freaking Philip Shepard literally gave his win to him. So did 19-year-old Natalie. I don't know. A dominant win, one of the most dominant wins ever. But I'm sorry, 4-time player. Again, and it wasn't on Zapatero. If he was on Zapatero, okay, maybe. But Ometepe, I'm sorry. I cannot take that win very seriously. We combine the dominance between the absolute, literally gift wrapped win pretty much. Again, kind of like Cochran last week, it kind of gets a average ranking to me.
So
yeah, but he had the greatest of all time playing with him, and he couldn't last. He couldn't last, and Rob did.
Zapatero had brains. They actually had brains in that tribe.
Is it because he's a returning player? Does that hurt him?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've made that clear.
So the person we're talking about next, you rank 3rd, and that person might be a returning player.
Okay, and I'll get to that in a second. I'll already talk about that person next. I've been hyping up.
Calling him out.
I'm ready to go now. I have to check.
Listen,
I'm ready to go. Let's go.
I think I'll try to defend you a little bit, Flynn. I don't have him as low as, what was it, 24th? Like that's too low. But I get what you're saying. I mean, when you look at the 2 tribes specifically, it's kind of fishy, honestly. I mean, Zapatero was full of a lot of fans of the game that, wanted to make a flashy move and throw the challenge and take out Russell, whereas there was more recruits on Rob's tribe, and it was also a younger tribe, whereas Zapatero was an older tribe, and they were more, I'd say, gullible. And
I feel like
Ometepe
was like perfectly tailored for Russell, because like his whole mantra was like pick up the young women and just rock with them to the finals.
Yeah,
I could see it if Russell was on Ometepe and that was the same thing. It could easily be flipped.
Maybe they would have thrown a challenge to take out Rob. Who knows?
I mean, I feel like Rob would have been more of like the hero. I think he would have also worked a little better because he was more of like he vibes better with the older, like with more normal. I don't know, but then he did it with the younger people too. It was like he assumed that role really well.
Yeah,
I could see him fitting in with Zapateras, maybe.
Yeah, I think that
would have been harder.
It would have been harder, but I think he would have done a better job at trying to integrate himself with the whole tribe. Where Russell Hans was like, "Here's the cute, young-looking girls. Let's just work with them again, like I did in the previous 2 seasons," and made it very obvious that he was not working with the rest of the guys in that tribe. I don't think Rob would have done that. I mean, he was married going into this one, so yeah, he would have had a different game plan.
Peridiam, 2nd overall. Why are you such a lover of the Boston Rob? 4 times,
especially Peridiam, especially when you went so hard on me for Tyson's high ranking as well. Coming back, playing in a season where he came back, what, his 3rd or 4th
Look,
time?
I had Tyson like top 15 or so. Like his win isn't bad. I do give him a little bit of flack for having to go to Rocks though, but it is what it is.
That's fair.
I think Rob just has an iron fist on the season from start to finish. And everyone does everything that he says at every point in turn. And I know the argument a lot of the time for so many seasons. I've heard it for almost like every single season, is that this cast was just really dumb, other than maybe Winners at War. And I feel like I've even heard that for Winners at War. Like I've heard the argument that these people are so bad. They're playing for this person to win, or they're playing to lose, or they were just not gamers. And it's just like, I don't know how much I can put stock in like questioning the IQ of every single human adult person on these casts. I just am assuming they're adults. I'm going to treat them like adults. They're not children. They made their bed. They tried to work with some strategy. I do believe that they weren't totally lost everywhere. Like they worked with what they thought was going to work, and they just got duped by somebody who was better. And that's how that works for Boston Rob in this case. He was just better. And to be fair, he played for 4 times. This was 4th time. And that goes a long way. Like, I wouldn't say he's the best because of that partially. But I also look at like what he did. And it's so tough to be like, he doesn't really make any mistakes. Gets a little unlucky at times with losing a challenge here or there.
Does he get bonus points for dealing with Philip Shepard the whole season and keeping him on board?
I mean, hey, he adapted to the strategy. He said, wait, I don't need to vote this guy out. I'll put him as a shield. He's so annoying. Yeah. And I would say like there's an argument. I can see the argument that he's not as good of a player because it took a 4th try, because the cast really was weirdly just rolling out the red carpet for him, because he could have lost under like any other final 3 combination. That's what I've heard. And that's not good. Like, that says something about how his reception was. Like, he was 1 immunity challenge away from losing the game, just as he was 1 immunity challenge away from winning the game. But I don't know. I've always had it ingrained for a long time that Rob has just been one of the most dominant, strongest players, and he just totally demolishes this cast in every single way this season in my eyes. I think it's like one of the worst seasons, if not the worst season of Survivor, because it's how repetitive it is, and the narrative doesn't change, and the gameplay is so just one player, whatever he says goes, and it's like that for 14 episodes. And this Nicaragua is pretty ugly to look at too, so it's pretty bleak. Anyway,
Chris, do you have anything else to add on to what Peridiam said?
Let's just have a look at it across the board. Control, I agree, 9 out of 10. Social game, 8 out of 10. Strategy, 9 out of 10. Challenges, 5 out of 5. How he played within the rules of the game, 5 out of 5. And then entertainment, a solid 9 out of 10. That's why he ranks so high for me. Again, I agree the season wasn't entertaining, but there was a part of me that felt like we completed the Boston Rob saga on Survivor when he finally got the win, which I thought he deserved in All-Stars. So I was kind of happy that he finally got the win, because he dominated the strategy that season as well. So overall, I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's ranked high. And the fact that he masterfully put himself in a position, because at this stage, we didn't have many, like, 2 returning players playing against all newbie seasons. I think this might have even been the first one on Survivor, where he put himself in a position where he said, oh, no, actually, this was the second one after Stephanie LaGrossa and Bobby John. But, him putting himself in there as like a coach. I'm going to coach you on how to get to the end. I want you to win. I'm going to tell you how to get to the end and get the win. And how people actually believe that he wasn't competing for the money himself is pretty masterful in my mind.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah. Does it hurt that it was a Redemption Island season? Yeah. Like, does that
I was just going to say, that's another thing. Oh. You couldn't even vote him out because we all knew, because dominant player, so you can't even vote out because he's probably just going to come back again and, just absolutely just go ham on you. You know what I mean? So he had that in his favor. Say what you will about that, how much, production wanted that. The reason why they introduced this as a season was as a buffer, because obviously, Rob being Rob would probably win his way back. Who knows? The challenge would just probably be all puzzles for all we know, and he'd obviously win all those. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't.
Look out for.
Chat wants me to kick you again. So.
Yeah, I've been kicked 3 times. I've been kicked 3 times, and Chris hasn't got once. This is crazy. Who would have thunk it?
Okay, rapid fire question time. This is for Jake. Can the Rob father win Survivor again? Yes or no?
Boston Rob, if he were to come back for a 6th time? No.
7, 6?
No.
No? Okay. Chat, what do you think? Yes or no? Can Rob win Survivor again?
Is he playing with Ometepe again?
That is a good question.
That is the question.
Russell and Rob come back, but they're on opposite tribes.
It's the same season, but opposite.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
That's the he's probably the 3rd boot. If had they been on literally a different tribe, it's probably a 3rd boot.
Yes.
So I don't.
We got someone here, Flynn.
Thank you, Jared.
Jarrett loves Flynn steaks.
He goes from third booth to winner. Had he just had a different buff? Like it's literally that simple with his win. Like that's his game. That's Redemption Island for you. That's Redemption Island for you.
Number, here we go. We're in the top 5 now. Top 5 chat. We can do this. We can do
Top
this.
5, baby.
I rank this person 7th. Flynn 3rd. It's weird. Peridiam 15th. Jake 10th. And Chris 5th. Right on the money again. That's crazy how that algorithm works. Here we go.
The winner of Survivor Second Chance, Jeremy.
Survivor Second Chance, Jeremy Collins. Chris, we're going to start with you. Talk about the algorithm. Summarize what you like about his game, just because somehow the algorithm picked him right at the average again. That's so cool.
It's only twice that it's happened in the top 10, I will say. It's not like it's hitting it every single time. But
no, but
yeah,
twice
Jeremy,
in 11 is crazy.
Yeah, I'll take it. I need to patent this thing, before I ship it out to all Survivor fans around the world and they can start putting their own little metrics in there. Jeremy, I gave him an 8 out of 10 for his control of the season. I think that early on coming into that season, Jeremy came from a season where he was the biggest threat, strategically, physically, playing the first time, and he wanted to make sure coming back that he learned from that mistake. A lot of Survivor players, we just spoke about Boston Rob, and maybe it's because he was successful in his last season, tried to use the same strategy on Winners of War. It didn't work as well for him in that season, where someone like Jeremy had the ability to reinvent his game somewhat. Coming back in that season, found other people around him that was also strategically pretty sound. Physically, they were in good shape, and he had the Meat Shield Alliance. It could be the Meat Shield Alliance in regards to physicality, Meat Shield Alliance in regards to their strategic prowess. So he would never be the highest person on the totem pole that people would want to get rid of. And I think that with that, I gave his strategy a solid 9 out of 10. Social game, 10 out of 10 that season. Like, everybody wanted to work with Jeremy. Everybody wanted him in an alliance. He seemed like Mr. Popular right throughout the season. In regards to challenges, I actually ranked him 3 out of 5. I'm not too sure why, because he was pretty good. I think maybe he didn't win as many immunities that season from memory. How he played within the game advantages and rules in the season, again, a 5. I mean, at one point he did the idle play on Stephen Fishback to save Stephen Fishback. Didn't really help that much in the long run, but I think what it did do is it galvanized people that were working with Jeremy, that he is willing to put his game on the line for them, and they were pulled in closer because of that, basically, throughout the game. Even though Stephen, he didn't really get too deep in the game. I think it was more moved to his allies to show that he's a very loyal person. And then entertainment, I've always been a very big Jeremy fan. I gave him an 8 out of 10 for entertainment. Overall, 88% on the algorithm across the board. And I don't know why. Even before this is like one of the ones where I always knew Jeremy was somewhere going to end up in a top 5, top 7 type of position for me, even if I didn't have the algorithm. Very high on the Jeremy one.
Flynn, I know you've been excited for talk about Jeremy since podcast number 1. So here's your chance. You have the throne. We'll all leave.
Yeah, let's talk about it, chat. Yeah, so to me, I can't do it. I was ready to go, man. I was ready to go. No one can interrupt me this time.
Yeah, let's hear it.
No, because this guy essentially broke Modern Survivor, in my opinion, with the meat shield strategy. I mean, that's always been a thing, but obviously, I mean, the comments are pretty much thirsting over him how great his physique is. I mean, it's like freaking amazing big guy, and he knew he made all these alliances with the right people, the right deals with the right people, to the point where he was never really that big of a threat, despite. And that's the thing you want to talk about. We talked about Sarah earlier, like she got lucky probably. Not being too big of a threat in Game Changers. That's what helped her get to the win. Jeremy, again, as big of a threat as you can get. Maybe not like top 5, but I don't know, pretty up there in terms of threat. And not to mention, again, the fact that he's such a big guy. He's just naturally always going to be huge threats. And he was never really in danger throughout the season whatsoever. In fact, he was in the majority alliance pretty much throughout, dominating. I always look back at the final 9 move, or final 10 move, playing the idol on Fishback. And that's just an amazing example of just how great the strategy is. You play an idol and Fishback, despite Jeremy being the one who's making the big move in front of everyone, Fishback still goes home the next episode. So you can look at that, be like, well, that's not very good because Fishback, went home the very next round. Why'd you waste your idol? Well, that's why, because despite Jeremy being the one making the big move, he's still not in trouble because of that. He's keeping the shields in front of him. That's the amazing part about this meat shield strategy. Again, really, and same thing, final 6, everyone knows got to take him out. Kimmy realized got to take him out, but he still has those strong allies of Tasha and Spencer there to support him. And literally tell him, hey, you're in trouble. We got your back. It looks like they're probably willing to go to the rocks for him at well. had he not had an idol. Just an incredible overall game, you know. Did only need that one immunity. Even then, I think he probably beats Kelly Wentworth too, which is insane given Kelly's story. Just an amazing all-around game. Essentially broke Modern Survivor, and now everyone's using shields and whatnot. So, yeah, you can't. Amazing cast as well he had to deal with, and again, he outsmarted them all. So,
I mean, Tony Vlachos was obsessed with the meat shield strategy when he came back at Winners at War. You know, the whole lions, the hyenas, and took that from Jeremy.
And Jeremy was his main shield. That's why he lasted so long in Winners at War. He was like on the bottom exact. Yeah. So there you go. He essentially broke. Yeah.
Peridiam, what are we all missing? What are we missing? I know you're gonna say I still ranked him 15th. I ranked him as a good winner, but in my opinion, 15th is completely different than 5th overall.
I think for him, and I was looking at my rankings, and I'm like, I wonder why I had him lower.
Be careful,
because I think it's more so the people above him I gave more kudos to than maybe him is 15th is pretty good, but I think I was just looking at my top 14, and I'm like, well, I think I can make a stronger argument for these people playing, just having a more secure amount of control, or making more impressive moves, or doing something else that secured a higher spot above him. I don't dislike Jeremy at all. I think that he did a great job. I think he plays a really strong game. I think Cambodia is one of the strongest cases for having this is an incredibly strong cast who played the game hard at all times, to the point where Jeremy's pulling off a 3-2-1 in the pre-merge. That's pretty good. I think it's a little bit of there's something about the amount of rocky waves that occurred throughout the entire post-merge with Jeremy that makes me a little shaky on his winning game. There's a little less control held, and it did require other people screwing up a little more than Jeremy necessarily playing his butt off, I guess. He also has to he has to play the idol correctly. Otherwise, I think he's the first winner to require an idol. Or maybe it was Mike Holloway, maybe the second winner.
Mike, yeah.
I don't know. There's just little things like that for me chip him a little bit and put 14 people above him. But it's he plays a strong game. I could be convinced to put him higher. I already think I should probably have him higher than at least 2 or 3 people above him.
The level of competition that he went up against compared to
there's a certain element where I'm he played against probably the strongest cast I think we've ever seen, other than maybe Winners at War. But even then, you can make a case for Cambodia's cast playing harder than Winners at War's cast. So, I don't know.
Right here, quite literally, everyone has taken Jeremy's meat shield strategy. Incredible. Jake, do you think Jeremy kind of broke Modern Survivor with this meat shield strategy and how people are going about playing the game now? What do you think, Jake?
No, I don't think so. Just come up with a better strategy. If you think it's broken the game, just if other people are using it, either use it yourself or figure out something better. I don't know. It's different from idols. People have said, idols are breaking the game. You can just find one every time, every trouble, and just play for yourself. That's different because you're literally taking away the ability to have votes counted for you. Whereas that strategy, you're just playing smart by just allying yourself with somebody that is going to get votes before you do. So no, I don't think it has.
He gave it a name. I think that subconsciously people did
branded
that
it
way before Jeremy. But he branded it. So he's now known as the meat shield guy, basically.
Makes sense. Jeremy or Flynn, I know you want to talk about Jeremy all you want, so I'm going to give you the rapid fire question here. Chat, let's get ready for it. Is this the strongest cast overall in Survivor history?
No, I still gotta think it's still Winners at War. Even say what you will about some of those. Unfortunately, looking back, it looked like some of those Winners at War people were kind of playing for their didn't want to hurt any feelings. Looking back, so this is probably second. Probably the best hard. I mean, they definitely all played hard, whether that's where it was for the best for the worst. But I do think Winners at War is the best.
Interesting. People, we got Winners at War. We got Heroes versus Villains.
Hey, everyone agrees with me now. I like it.
Here.
Chat was against me like crazy.
Chat's on your side again. Chat, good time. There's 60 people in here. We're going to take a quick little break. It's giveaway time. We're giving away, I'll bring it back over, this blue 5-piece puzzle that Spencer won in super fast fashion during that very season, Survivor Cambodia. Let's take a little break. With all 4 Survivor YouTuber winner rankings, we'll be giving away a replica of the infamous 5-piece puzzle that Spencer won during Survivor Cambodia.
This is the kind of puzzle you solve in an instant, and Spencer just did.
Even though it's cool to watch these live streams afterwards, if you want a chance at winning the replica puzzle, you need to make sure to tune in to all the streams as they are live.
Only 5 pieces in this puzzle. When you get it, it will be instantly, and it will be over like that.
But if you aren't feeling lucky and want a guaranteed chance of owning the replica Survivor puzzle, make sure to check out the Idle Play Survivor 45 drop. This drop will be including 10 replica Survivor puzzles in multiple colors, and the whole thing is going live during the final Survivor YouTuber Winner Rankings podcast, September 22nd, 8:30 p.m. So that might be a little bit of a lie, chat. I'm sorry about that. I've had a really busy week at work. It is going live, premiere night of Survivor 45. So let's get excited for that. But yeah, it's coming soon. I promise. Let me get that share screen real quick. Giveaway tool, share. Boom. Okay, chat. There's got to be a phrase we got to say, and then that's how you're entered. I want Chris, come up with the phrase that chat needs to type.
Stick to the
What's
plan.
it gotta be? Oh, stick to the plan. Let me copy and paste it. Start collecting. All right, chat. Stick to the plan. It's gotta be one word. So stick to the plan, all one word, and then you have a chance at winning this replica 5-piece Survivor puzzle.
Everyone's doing 4 words.
Guys, it's one word.
They're not
It's
sticking
one
to the
word.
plan.
Yeah.
Come on, chat.
Only 7 of you have done it. 55 people in here will do that at the very end of the stream. We're almost there. Top 4, baby. Top 4. Next up, this person. I got right on the money, ranking 4th overall. Flynn, right on the money, 4th overall. Peridiam, 17th overall. Jake, 3rd overall. And Chris, with the algorithm, 11th overall.
Will Steven keep it going, or will it be a blowout? The winner of Survivor Championship.
We got the first ever perfect game in Survivor history. A dominating win. People wanted to give him the win. Flynn, we both ranked this guy right on the money, 4th overall. Let's have you summarize the win. Why is JT such a legendary winner?
Because people were pretty much willing to give up their game for him to win. I mean, I do think perfect game's a bit of an overrated stat, but the fact that this guy, dominated the game from beginning to end, despite going to, again, Job Pow went to the merge 6-4 numbers and 6-3 at the final 9, and he was still in domination the entire time because of the fact that people just loved him. And you could obviously attribute a little bit of that to Tim Beer obviously being a train wreck, but still, they'll probably never see anything like this again. And I actually don't really knock. He's a challenge piece as well, and I actually don't knock the fact that he needed those 2 wins at the end there, because that's good on their part. We'll talk spoiler. We'll talk about a certain winner here in a second who I don't think's played with the best cast ever. And the fact that people like us Fishback and a Taj and Aaron were able to finally see through JT, unlike everyone else, and see JT that he needed to be taken out, but he was able to come up clutch and win those last 3 immunities. Again, that just adds to his game as opposed to takes away for me. So he's never in trouble. Say what you will, perfect game. We'll never see anything like this. Just incredible game.
Yeah. Gotta say, chat, Misco Kid M, thank you so much for that donation, $2.79 for luck. And they actually stuck to the plan. All one word, stick to the plan there. Let's give some W's in the chat. Thank you so much for that donation. Peridiam, you're a back-to-back hater here, putting Jeremy 15th overall and then JT 17th overall. Yeah, I'm kind of speechless by this. Why? Yeah. What's wrong with JT's win?
It's
not
fine.
Fishback.
It's again, I love the seasons I love are not necessarily the winning games that I love. And JT was the first person I saw win, and I was over the moon about it. It got me hooked on Survivor. That was the first one I really sat down and watched. So trying to remove my bias from the game, I think JT does a well enough job. I put him in the top half, but I feel like him winning is more so everyone else losing. It's a game where he shouldn't have won, in a sense. He was playing against a lot of people who tripped over themselves in a way.
Yeah,
Timbira.
that's a rare Peridiam L right there. So we'll turn him backstage for a little bit.
Trying to get him
Chris,
to cool down, dude.
Yeah.
Let him collect his
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I was
We'll go
saying,
back to
Coach
this-
was robbed of the win. He should have been the winner.
Exactly. There
I
we
don't know
go.
what was happening?
No, there's a W.
W's in the chat.
How do you have
Coach win.
how do you have the coach trekking to the sand dunes and not being the winner? Like, what is that montage?
The game should have just ended right there after.
Like, that's the winner's edit, and he
Yeah.
didn't win. Like, that's ridiculous.
There's a flaw in the game for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like
flawed.
JT's. I feel like you could almost
Perfect
make the argument
game.
of like you said about Todd with the 16 cast in the final 3, final 2. Perfect game doesn't mean anything. Like, whatever. Like, you got votes, you didn't get votes. Cool.
He didn't get any votes. He was never a target.
He was immune like 4 times or whatever. So 3 times.
He did the Mike Holloway.
He does a good
his way to
job.
do it.
Like, he does a really good job for me. I think it's just there's like all the players above him that I ranked, they did a little more. And so JT just sort of falls to the wayside a little bit. They showed off a little more prowess in some ways. JT was working alongside in conjunction with Steven and Taj. He had to rely on his opponent really screwing up. And I don't know what he did enough to encourage that besides allying with them. And he did help put the wedge there in the Timbir Alliance and causes them to blow up at the merge. Like, that was big. He did have control with Steven and Taj in the pre-merge, and that was also really good. I don't know. There's just like, I could have put all of those players if they won in the same spot. It was good. It just didn't blow me away compared to a lot of other players I have above him. So,
yeah, I think whoever put that in chat is right. It's a rare Peridiam L, but you can have your opinion there. It's fine.
Oh, look, I get harped on a lot for having like milquetoast takes, but when it comes to this stuff, like, I will easily throw out a hot take here or there. And let it be known, Flynn's top 5 are the top 5.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy.
Who wants to argue me now, chat? Yeah, it's almost like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's
it's funny
crazy.
because
That's crazy.
I have the same top 4 as the aggregate, and I thought I was going to have some pretty hot takes. Maybe it's more so the middle and the bottom that I have some takes like that, but I was pretty shocked by that.
I was just having a look. The algorithm has been right 4 times so far, but maybe not always the placement. 2 out of the 4 was right on the placement, but 4 times I've had. For instance, JT was my number 11, just snuck into the top 11. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I was going to ask you this question, not knowing you use an algorithm to base your rankings on, so it might not make sense for how you actually feel about JT.
I'm sticking to the plan. I'm throwing the algorithm under the bus for any of my hot takes tonight. It's not me. The numbers that they're talking.
11th overall. I think JT, he had a perfect game, a top 4 game in Survivor history. Yeah. Is his future games, his heroes versus villains, and his game changers game, does that affect the ranking here at number 11?
For some people it does, but not for me. Like, I ranked each season in a vacuum, like I said in the beginning, and I didn't take into consideration other seasons. But I will also say, I feel like people who are low on, I think he got found out a little bit without Stephen Fishback. I think Stephen Fishback was a big part of why he did so well that season. But also, I think they needed each other because Stephen, without JT as well coming back, he didn't really find that form of glory either. And I will say him and Jeremy worked pretty closely together. If you didn't get sniped, maybe he would have gone deeper with Jeremy that season. But I do feel like they were a duo. And it's funny that my number 10, who I don't think made the top 11, was Wendell. And both of them are kind of like similar in the way that they played with a ride or die until the end of their season. And they were kind of ranked together. But for me, JT coming back, playing the other seasons doesn't take away from it. Like, I actually would have loved to see him come back and play Winners of War. I'd love to see him come back and play any season because he's someone that's going to try stuff. He's going to throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks. And I enjoy people who take risks, you know? Jeff likes risk takers. This whole season now is a risky theme going into 45. So let's hope that JT gets another opportunity to go take some risks out there. But yeah, overall, control, he was in control for a large part of the game. I never really saw him in danger. So I had him 8 out of 10. He had a very early alliance that he stuck with. Social game was off the charts, 10 out of 10. Strategy, I gave him a 7 because I believe that Steven was most of the strategy with him adding to some of it throughout that season. Challenges, he was dominant, 5 out of 5. How he played with the game advantages and rules, I gave him a 3.5 out of 5 on that season. Entertainment, again, he was an 8 out of 10 for me on that. It was entertaining, but he wasn't necessarily the most entertaining winner for me out of some of the people that are above him.
Rapid fire question time. Jake, this one's for you. Are you team, this is a simple one, we'll see what you say. One word answer. Are you team JT or team Fishback?
JT.
There we go.
Team Fishback.
There we go.
Fishback.
Oh, okay then.
Let's go
hear
Fishback.
everyone then. Flynn,
I'll say JT.
team
I'll say
Fishback
JT,
or
why not?
JT?
JT, why
Okay.
not?
Wait, so am
You're
I
the
the
tiebreaker, Russell. You're the tiebreaker, man.
I'm saying Fishback. Fishback for sure. I think
Oh,
Fishback.
okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Let's go.
I like JT
That's-
playing on Here's Villains. I think people get thrown under the bus so much for
Yeah.
him, but I actually like what he tries to do there, and I think it shows a lot of range of his character because he plays a very safe, conservative game in Tocantins.
I think I got it.
So I like it.
Well, and I think that he's willing to take those risks because he's already won.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
would have been different.
A
I
lot
think it
of-
would have been different. And I think, again, not only did I not factor in those games into my ranking of him, I had him third.
Mm.
It would increase it
But-
probably, yeah.
But I think that I don't really take those away from him as a
No.
player that much, if I'm being honest. Like, again, like I just said, he had already won. You know, like Game Changers is so long after, and it's just a different feel. He was just really emotional about stuff. I don't know. I don't factor it into him as a player, honestly.
Yeah.
Cool. We're in the top 3 now. Top 3. I ranked this person 14th overall. Flynn 2nd. Peridiam 4th. Jake 4th. Chris 20th overall. That's a crazy one. Here we go.
The winner of Survivor Fiji.
So obviously we're going to talk about Earl. We're going to talk about his win, Survivor Fiji. But the real question now is, we know who's left. We got Kim and we got Tony, winners at war. Chat, who do you think is going to be coming out number 1? Who's going to be number 2? We'll find out very, very soon. Flynn, 2nd overall. You're the 2nd best win in Survivor history. The best ranking, everyone here. Why 2nd overall for Earl?
You know, it's really funny because, like, looking at Earl's game, there's nothing. I mean, he's not a very interesting player. Like, there's not really a standout move. But I think, like, for me, I don't know. That's what makes it, like, so amazing. Like, the fact that this guy, in a way, like, played, like, played an underrated game, but at the same time, just absolutely just dominated the entire game from beginning to literally the end. I mean, of course, formed the majority. Forget which tribe he started on, but formed the majority there. Obviously, the tribe swap, him and Yao-Man dominated the game. And obviously, it was a big part of the first of the. Obviously, Stacy was the main catalyst behind it, but what's it called? When they went for a guard, I forget what's called. Safe vote plan. Obviously, is part of that as well. And and also like the fact that he beats Yao-Man. You look at Yao-Man, you think he's an automatic beat, and you have Dream and Yao-Man pretty much going at it, and he's pretty much guaranteed the spot at the end due to all that. And he beats like everyone at the end too. I mean, he just was in control the entire game. Was never really much in danger. Again, say what you will about the perfect game, but he came obviously close to it. But it wasn't for that stray vote. But I mean, he just was never really that much in danger and dominated. Yes, not flashy, but I mean, when I look at a lot of these players, and again, even for someone like JT, like he was a little bit of turmoil. Next player we'll talk about soon was that maybe had some flaws there. I really just can't think of a flaw for Earl. I just cannot think of a flaw for Earl, which is why he's number 2 for me.
I want to say that's also partially why I have him so high. I put him at number 4. I consider my top 5 to be like players who just didn't really make any mistakes.
Right.
Sometimes they get unlucky. Sometimes the wrong person gets taken out. He loses Michelle, through no fault of his own. He sets himself up perfectly every step of the way from the moment he hits the beaches of Fiji, and it's just pure domination. And that's what I look for when I'm talking about like winning the game of Survivor. To have such control, to have so many options, to never really be the target, to have just every vote on lock. Even losing an ally at the final 10, he's still got people coming up to him and wanting to join his alliance and control the game. And I think the only thing is maybe if it was a final 2, because I guess they were surprised with the final 3. Maybe that makes it a little bit dicey with like Dreams and Cassandra in that final 3. If there was a final 2, just Dreams cut him and take us. It's like that might be a little bit of a question mark because I don't know if they knew that there was a final 3. I don't think they did. So
they did it. I was going to bring that up. I was like, what makes that so different from Ben Drieberg and Fire Making Challenge at the end, getting him to the end to.
Well, I mean, Ben was screwed from like the final 7, final 8,
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
if we're talking about like Fiji, like Earl was not in that position whatsoever until the final 3. Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of luck there, but ultimately that.
And we don't even know. Who knows? Maybe they wouldn't have even taken out Earl. Maybe he.
I mean,
would've...
does anyone know what Dreams would have done?
No.
What would the challenge have been?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really.
Jake,
I
you
think
also ranked him number 4. So, yeah,
Chris.
Jake, number
thoughts?
4. Chris is 20th. I don't want to hear Chris's thoughts. That's not a good thought to
Speaking
hear.
him out still.
I'm curious to hear 20.
Yeah,
That's a bigger jump than I got, by the way, with JT and Jeremy.
It's top half. It's top half to steal one of Peridiam's.
It is top half. It is top half. There you go. He's a
Oh,
top
wait,
half
I-
winner.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Be careful, though. I have my finger on the mouse.
Yeah, no, listen, for me, I think I looked at it and I was like, 3rd is extremely high. Like, Flynnmasters brought it.
Thank you. I was like, what are you waiting for? That was
I mean,
like
I
right
ranked
on
him 14th, so like I'm not that much
he's
better.
just speaking nonsense. Just don't even give him a chance to spew that.
Yeah, like I said,
So,
back from the Spy Shack. So listen, basically, I think
Booze, Spy
third's.
Shack.
Oh,
I think it's extremely high, to be honest. I think Flynn, you said it best. There wasn't much memorable gameplay wise from his season, and it is a season I haven't watched in a very long time. I will give that, and maybe it's one that I should go and rewatch again. But from my memory, Dreams was playing the game for Earl that season and was doing everything for Earl to win that season by, bizarre gameplay throughout. For instance, the car deal with Yaman, which was bizarre, that created that rift. Jumping back and forth with the alliances that he had with Alex and Mookie and throwing them under the bus, making him like a non-option to potentially win the game at the end. It was just a bizarre season where I feel like, as well as Earl did control-wise, there were things happening outside of that he was lucky. Like if he was to play with another cast, would it have been the same? Would he have been able to
Like
have
JT.
Yeah. So again, it's things that stuck out to me where I was like, I don't know if he's, in my mind, clearly in my mind, isn't a top 3 player. And I marked him down a little bit for some of those things throughout the season. And I wasn't even fully convinced that it was certain times where he was kind of giving control away to Yaman throughout it as well. And I don't know how that end situation would have ended out if it did go to
I would say
final.
rewatch the season, and
Yeah.
there's a lot behind the scenes of Fiji that make the episodes not as exciting, but when you know the strategic makeup of where the people are at, it actually I got a lot of respect from Earl's game. It's shown a light on him that I didn't realize just how much, like the edit, I think gives a lot to Yaoman, and Yaoman played a pretty poor social game. Physical game was great. Strategic game was pretty good, but his social game was actually really bad. And he'll be the first person to say that. It was Earl's social position at all times with the right people that kept him in constant control. Sorry, I'll just say like there's a lot. I think Fiji benefits a lot from like a deep. If you do a deep dive on Fiji, you'll learn a lot from it. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens that unfortunately makes the episodes like a little bit surface level. Like I've rewatched, I'm like, yeah, there's not like the pre-merge. There's not a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not a great season. I don't remember. I wasn't a part of your guys' season rankings, and I don't know where you guys put it, but not too high.
I ranked it worst
It's
overall.
okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not a good season.
I don't know about that, but
So yeah, it's not a good season. Jake, you ranked him 4th overall. My problem with Earl is I find it to be a really good game, but a boring game in my opinion. And I also don't like the season. And now I try to be objective, but there was times where just not a fan. What is an underrated move? Try and sway me in the way of Earl. What's a move of his that is good?
I don't know about
Jake. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Jake.
Oh,
Jake.
yeah, sorry. I don't know about moves per se, but just the fact that he had never played the game before and I guess neither did anybody else. But the fact that it just seemed like he had an instinct for the game, like he just knew what he was doing the whole time. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the thing about Earl, is that he didn't make any big or flashy moves, but he was just always in the right spot, just had his relationships in the right place, and just was always in the best spot to win.
Yeah, makes sense. Rapid fire question for Peridiam. Yes or no? Give me a little reason why. Give it a little spice, a little flair. Can Earl win again?
Yeah.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think so. I would like to see it.
Had he been on Winners of War, I think he would have been in contention for my winner pick.
Interesting.
A lot of people.
There was a lot of like the old school thing though, which would have.
Well, that's true.
Probably
at the time, but we didn't know that was going to happen at the time.
He's the king of Fiji, though. They would have loved him.
I mean, Earl walked into the game with like no knowledge. He had like not. I don't think he knew Survivor at all, and he was like called at the last second to go out there.
He was an alternate, yeah.
He was, and he runs the table, and he does a great job. And he's not the most exciting win, I will say. Like he's watching Fiji. It's very just milquetoast. He's chilling. I always envision him with the gif of him just smirking at Gardo getting blindsided, and I'm like, that's kind of Earl. Like he's just kind of in the background, just like just chill. He's just got good bonds with everybody. But I do think like his demeanor would easily translate to any season of the show. I worry he might not actually do enough in a way if he were to come back, and that might be a problem.
He might get on the boat and go to Decision Island on the wrong time, and then lose a vote.
His ally spins the ship wheel in the wrong direction, and then his game is blown up.
Yeah, it's like, we always knew Earl shouldn't have come back. Shows he can't hang with the new age kids anymore. The game played him.
It would happen.
Yeah.
We're wrapping things up. We got 2 people left, chat. We got Tony Vlachos and Kim Spradlin. Who do you think's number 1? But before we do this, hot takes. The spiciest hot take you have. Again, try and keep it as someone who we haven't talked about in today's top 11 stream. A take you have that you just didn't agree with. Doesn't have to be an underrated like we talked about before. Just someone that you see your rankings against the average of everyone else's, and you're like, no, this is stupid. This is wrong. Flynn, let's have you go first.
I mean, like I said, I'll just either continue to defend Aris or I'll hammer on Rob. Which do you want?
Go for Aris. I like Aris as well.
Oh, what was Aris's ranking?
30 something is crazy bad. I would have had him a number. I would have had him on this.
Can we kick Russell Muscle?
Oh, he's so underrated. Aris is an underrated winner.
Thank you. Yeah. For sure. I think he should have been on this stream, the number 11 spot. Name your top 10.
No, that's way too high. That's way too high. He
almost made bottom 11. Holy smokes. Damn, okay.
I know, that's crazy, right? That's exactly thank you, Peridiam. That's exactly my reaction. I cannot find a guy who dominated that much can be like that low. That's just
I think Aris beats Suri in a final 2.
And that's another thing too. Yeah, that's the big thing, right?
I know, like people don't know that. People think Suri crushes everyone, but
exactly, 100%. He beats pretty much everyone other than Terry, and even Terry's pretty close.
Does he?
Yeah.
So Peridiam, you're going with Aris as well, I guess.
I mean, I would say I think Tina should be higher. I think she was 19th. I have her winning game a lot higher than 19th. I think she plays, and especially for season 2, I think that also lends itself a little bit, like having almost no blueprint to work with. She actually tried to do the opposite a little bit of how Richard Hatch did it. But yeah, I think Tina played a map to be able to like do what she does with just one season under her belt is just, she flips the vote on Mitchell on the way to tribal council is wild. I'm to gather the info, to know where to put the vote, to get Colby to become the bad guy, to convince Colby to play the bad guy at the merge, to garner votes because they knew Colby wasn't going to get voted out in a tiebreaker, to give Ogakor the numbers is insane. Like for season 2, that is such a big brain move to know where to go in the boot order, to clip Jerry knowing she can keep Amber, to make an alliance with Roger, or it was a Roger and Elizabeth, knowing they were going to factor like we prefer the good people mentality and all that junk, even though it kept her with the number. I'm like, and she got Colby, even though he was a little bit playing in a different headspace. But still, I'm just like, this is wild. Like, there's really nothing she does wrong, as far as I'm aware, unless somebody could tell me otherwise. Like, she doesn't do anything wrong other than maybe not be in the top 3 at the beginning of the season with Mitchell and Jerry and Amber. But she flips the script. So I'm like, Tina's game needs more respect, in my opinion.
I agree.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I can
Jake,
talk about
who's
either
yours?
Parvati or
Go with
Yule.
yours.
Like, why is Parvati and Yule not in? Like, the top 10, in my opinion. Like, both of them are like top 10 winners for me.
Yeah.
Either one of them I would have wanted in there. I think Yule, like, if you compare Yule versus Earl, which is around that same time, I was more impressed by Yule, and I thought he was more entertaining to watch, just to talk about who just got number 3. So where did Yule end up?
Let's check.
Is he in top 20 at least?
Yeah, top 20. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he was.
Because, I mean, Yule that season, like,
He was,
there was a
17th.
17th. Like, he was swapped, you know, he had to go through a tribe swap. He had to, like, rebuild his alliance within that, get Jonathan Peno on side, work with the likes of the Candace, then got screwed by them and the Mutiny Twist, and he had to, like, work around the Mutiny Twist, go with less numbers into a merge situation, work his way back. People always say, yeah, but he had the idol that he could play after the vote and all that kind of stuff. But I still think he was really good at how he brought people in and how he made Jonathan Pena see that the numbers weren't in his side with that alliance, flipping him over. Like, I feel like he was the godfather of early survivors. So for me, not seeing Yule in top 10, I don't know if a lot of people thought about maybe winners had won this game there, which to me was still pretty impressive. Like, he only went out in a spot where he went up against real life friends and he wasn't as connected to them in real life. So yeah, I feel like Yule needs more respect, probably should be a top 10 winner.
There you go. And Jake, give us your spiciest take.
Oh man, I think Tommy is a top 10 winner.
I agree.
Oh, not as hot as I thought.
Okay.
We were high on Tommy. We had Tommy above Real, actually, which is crazy. So.
Oh really? Let's see.
Yeah.
Tommy was okay. He was at 16th. I
I
had him
was
at
1 spot higher.
Yeah.
I had him at 7th. Personally,
Okay.
I mean, if you look back at that season, it's like you would never guess that he would be from the modern era based on the type of game that he played. No idols, no advantages, no immunities, just straight up social gameplay. He was everybody's best friend. That's what Rob and Sandra always said was so crazy to them, is every time somebody went to Island of the Idols, they'd ask him, who's your closest ally? And 9 times out of 10, they'd say Tommy, or they'd mention Tommy. I'm close with Tommy. And, you know, extremely, extremely unflashy game. And I get if you're weighing entertainment into your rankings, for sure. I'll give you full ability to put him at the bottom because
Challenge performances.
But you know, again, he didn't even need it. He didn't need it.
I know it's one of my categories.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, no, but listen, I think it's interesting you bring Tommy up because he also broke the theme of the season. Like, he even beat the theme.
Yes.
Like, he never went on to the Island of Idols and still won the season. So
Yeah.
I'm sure
Crazy.
Jeff was very happy about that.
I put a poll in the YouTube chat 2 minutes ago with 23 votes. People, make sure you're voting. We have 70 people in here. Who should be number 1? We have Kim at 38% and Tony at, well, it's always changing right here. Kim at 38. Oh, it's changing way too much. Tony at 62 right now, but it's changing like crazy. Everyone, give your vote
W's
in
in
there.
the chat.
So
W's in the chat for that
Yeah,
vote.
for real.
We've got some knowledgeable live audience members in the live chat.
boom. What happened? Okay.
You good?
Here we go. Yep. So here we go, everybody. Number 1 overall. I'm going to give the number 1 person, show their winner, show their winning game. And then I guess we'll talk about number 2 first. But let's give number 1 their due.
The winner of Survivor, Edge of Extinction, Chris. That's enough.
Let's go, Chris. So number 2 overall. We'll go number 2, and then we'll talk about number 1 afterwards. This person ranked number 2 overall. I ranked this person first. Flynn ranked this person first. Peridiam ranked this person 6th. Jake ranked this person second, and Chris ranked this person first overall.
The winner of Survivor Winners at War, Tony. Congratulations, Tony.
He was robbed.
Tony
Definitely.
Winners at
The
War.
game is flawed.
The
Yeah,
game
flawed.
is flawed. Second.
We need a live audience vote. Oh, actually, we did that, right? Tony's actually now number one, Russell.
Yeah,
Yes,
switch it.
true. There we go.
Switch
The
it.
audience does get a say in the vote. Peridiam, we're starting with you. We need to. We're all in agreement here, pretty much, except for you. 6 overall. Why not number 1, bro?
You know, it's interesting because Tony only lost to Kim by 6 points out of 500 in total, 534 to 528. They were like by far the top 2, right?
So before we had Alyssa from the Survivor Scholars was the last person to send in the rankings. Before Alyssa put in her rankings, it was Kim and Tony tied.
Oh,
insane.
so she.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, I can see. Yeah,
Alyssa,
had,
everybody.
Kim had. Kim's higher than Tony and Alyssa. Tony is good. I mean, I put him at 6 out of 44. I guess it's like, haters group over here. I'm taking an L, but he makes a few flaws in his game that I don't look at the top 5 and say they did really anything too wrong. I will say maybe Earl with the mistaken final 2 could have been a huge problem, but otherwise, I think Tony plays a fantastic game from start to finish. He plays against the strongest cast in Survivor history, all winners. You can't say these people are bad. They've all won. There's just no good argument. You could say maybe some of them played questionably. They played for Tony to win. I'd say it's also part of the social game of a returning player season is creating connections, whether they're during the season, before the season starts, getting them to want you to win with Denise and Ben at the end, who were like, you know what? Tony deserves it, or Sarah deserves it. Okay. Why didn't the other players vote these people out sooner? I don't know. I mean, he wins a ton of immunities. That's like a huge improvement from his previous game where he won. He's a 2-timer. He's the only 2-timer besides Sandra. Took him 3 times, but still, I would say his games are more impressive than Sandra's on paper. There's a lot going for him. Like, even though I'm like at the bottom, I guess, of the 5 of us, I have nothing really terribly bad to say other than like he was in jeopardy at the swap. And I think that if he gets his way at the final 5, he loses the game. That's a little bit questionable. I don't like that for a 2-timer. Like, if he gets his way, he might lose the game if he keeps Ben in, and then Ben baits him a fire because Natalie votes Michelle out at the final 5. Then Natalie wins the immunity challenge. I guess you could say maybe Ben wins the immunity challenge at the final 4. Probably not, but maybe. But if that happens and Ben gets Nat and Michelle gets voted out at the final 5, you got a final 4 where Tony probably loses to Ben in the fire making challenge and Sarah's the 2-timer. So I don't know.
Goat. Yeah.
And that was a very easy mistake. If he didn't get his way, Ben gets voted out, Tony wins. But if he did get his way, that's a little bit questionable. I don't know. Maybe there's a better argument against that. But top 6, almost top 5, baby.
I would just say when you're going up against the toughest cast of all time, it's very hard not to get 1 out of 20 moves wrong. Like, at some point, it's going to be difficult if you're saying, well, Earl made no mistakes or someone else made no mistakes. Well, what was the level of competition they went up against? So that's the counter argument to.
But I would say, like, it's hard to quantify like the cast overall skill, whereas I can quantify the fact that if Tony gets that right, he loses, or if he gets it wrong, he loses. And to me, like, then he's probably not. He wouldn't even be in the conversation because of that, and that's like a little tough.
Not for winner, but definitely still for like best players of all time.
Yeah.
I'd still put him up there. Just the fact that we went into that season and every single draft that was made by people that were like choosing people that were going to win that season had Tony at dead last, and then he ended up going through this thing. Like, has there been a player that have played 2 more different games? Like, yes, there was elements of Tony's old game that started popping out as he became comfortable towards the end game, and he became comfortable in his position as he moved through the game. But I think early on, he definitely came into that, reinvented himself, took a step back, tried to play within himself, didn't go look for idols, became the class clown and played up that part of his personality. Listening to his deep dive and even like how he used like his body, like, you know, making sure like when he was walking on the sand, walking closer to the ocean, so he would be lower than the people next to him, so he wouldn't come across as intimidating and all those kind of things. To me, it's quite interesting, you know. There's a lot of laughing going on. I don't know if it's because of my takes.
Oh my god, that's so brutal.
Yeah, I'll say, Big Show, there's a reason I don't respond to your DMs on Twitter.
Okay.
I appreciate
fine.
Big Show. I've seen him before a bunch. He's a hardcore fan, so I appreciate it. Yeah, look, I'll bring the spice. Like Tony, I'm not a Tony simp. I love Tony. He's one of my favorite winners, but his game, objectively to me at Winners of War, has some holes in it. And if I'm looking for the best of the best, Tony, obviously, you could easily put him on the Pantheon. But there's a few problems here and there. And I don't like when I say if the winner gets what they want, they lose. I can't say that for some of the best. If that's the number one spot, like that to me is a very hard argument for me to argue against.
Yeah, I agree. There's a reason I didn't have him first. And I think the big thing is that returning seasons are just different. They're just, you know, all of these people know each other outside of the game, especially like Tony and Sarah specifically were like besties already, and they ended up on the same tribe together. You know,
people knew that. Like, I just want to say it's more impressive that Tony is not a part of the online Survivor community, doesn't hang out with people, doesn't go play poker tournaments with people, and still came in and found ways to get into the game, you know? Like, he took offense to the poker alliance there, Russell?
No, I'm just, chat's going crazy right now. It's too much to handle.
I'm sorry.
This is what happens when Tony doesn't get number one.
I know.
People lose their mind.
Thank you, chat. Yeah, that's what should have happened. Yeah. No, I'll just say up front, best. I mean, Winners of War. I kind of like how you can't like not put Chris number one or last. Oh, almost at number one. Put him last because of a
Freudian slip.
Yeah. I just can't. Maybe like you play a terrible game, then maybe. But again, Peridiam, he has his flaws, I guess. But I'm sorry, it just his threat level. Tony somehow won. Just an amazing game.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I cannot put him number one. I just can't. I just do not feel right.
So here's the rapid fire question. We're moving on to the very, very best, I guess. Chris, should Tony retire from Survivor?
Yes.
Is there anything left?
He's got nothing else to prove. I like Tony. I would love for him to come back. I would love to see him play again. But, you know, when you're that far up in the top, like, why would you even consider coming back? Like, I'd much rather see, you know, Tony on Traders season 3. Like, I know they saved Boston Rob. I know they saved Boston Rob for season 3. Boston Rob and Tony Vlachos for Traders season 3. Let's go play a different game. Tony's great TV. He is team TV. So we need him back on our screens. But on Survivor, until someone else can come close to his level and win for a second time, and there is maybe a discussion about him not being the best, maybe he can come back and prove himself. At this stage, no one's even close. Why come back?
Yeah. We're going into number one. We all know who it is. I ranked this person second overall. Flynn fifth. Peridiam first. Jake first. And Chris fourth with that algorithm. Let's do it.
The winner of Survivor War.
I just noticed I still have another Peridiam L on the bottom banner. Sorry about that. It's been there the whole time.
No, I appreciate it. Get it off.
There we go. Kim, number one, the best from all our rankings. We had 11 Survivor content creators, 13 or 14 people total. We had some teams of content creators with the Nullified take and the Survivor Scholars. Everyone together, Kim ranked first overall. That honestly doesn't surprise me. It hurts personally to not see Tony as the number one, but if it's not going to be Tony, I think it's got to be Kim. It's got to be Kim. Jake, you're someone who ranked Kim as your first, the best winner of all time. What separates Kim from the other people we've talked about here today?
I mean, she just makes everyone look like fools out there. I mean, she's just head and shoulders above everybody out there. And, you know, you could use that as an argument that it's a weak cast, but I think she just is that good. I'm not disagreeing that wasn't the best cast ever, but we say that about so many seasons. Like as Peridiam was saying earlier, it almost feels like we say that about every season except for like Cambodia and Winners at War, to be honest. So basically the returning seasons. It was an all newbie season. Everyone's on the same playing field. She just straight up dominated. There's just not much else to say. She found an idol, didn't even need it. A beast of challenges. I just don't know what really you can knock her for.
Entertainment.
Fair.
Like she just wasn't that entertaining to me. It was
Yeah.
like I like her, she's a nice girl and everything, and she did extremely well. But if I had to look, she was tied third on my algorithm with Boston Rob. They both had 88%, and I gave Boston Rob the edge because he had higher entertainment value for me personally. So I put him above. But yeah, like you said, across the board, her and Boston Rob dominated their seasons from beginning to end, really, and made it very obvious for me early on in that season. I called it, like, she's clearly winning. There's no one else playing the game, and that made the season boring. It's one of only 2 seasons I've only watched once. I've never even gone back to watch it again. So like, don't want to put myself through it.
It's a bad season. It's a really bad season, but it's a good game. And it's funny. You could almost see like an inverse relationship between good games and bad seasons most of the time, because that can make it boring if it's obvious that somebody's going to
too dominating.
But,
Yeah. Flynn, you're off the money here. 5th against. I think 5th is too low. Give us the reason why Kim is outside of your top 3. Even I think Kim's got to be top 3.
Like I know I got hate for this last time. Just kind of what Jake said. The only amazing game is I think that we cast. And look, it's not as blatantly bad as Rob's. Where again, I'll defend this. I'll die to a grave saying that Rob just had it so easy. It's not as blatantly as bad. And I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, test everyone's IQ on one world and say, oh, this is the dumbest cast ever. Like I'm not going to say that. But like when watching the show, when Troyzan is like your biggest in the post merge, when Troyzan. When Colton's like your biggest overall like threat, and Troy's in the post merge like your biggest overall threat to winning. I'm sorry, I'm the biggest, and I can say that I'm the biggest Troyzan fan around. When he's your biggest competition, yeah, I'm sorry, this is a weak cast. I can't put her. I would say I have her very high at top 5, but I think above someone like a Jeremy or JT, Tony, obviously, and of course Earl. I just feel like I have to have them higher.
And what do you guys think, just while we're on the topic of Kim, with her coming back at Winners of War? I've heard some really cold takes in regards to people saying, oh, Winners of War proof she wasn't that good and all that. I'm like, no, it's the opposite for me. The fact that, like, I looked at her, Tony, Boston Rob, Parvati, and Sandra as, like, the biggest threats coming into that season. And the fact that she got as deep as she did, to me, was really impressive. Like, she started out, she was, for the first time, feeling what it was like not to be in the numbers, had her moment of freaking out. Yes, you can mark her down on that if you wanted to, but I thought she recovered really well and had a very good season.
Does it show, though, that she's not as good of a player if she can't play from the bottom?
But I feel like she proved she can. Like, she freaked out. She had a moment, but she found her feet. So to me, that's why I would say as the season continued. And I think it's only natural, right? Because she came into that season knowing how much praise is out there for her online. How many people, like, even before she played that season, some people thought going into that season she was the best to ever do it, right? Until Tony won Winners at War, that sort of broke the discussion open for Tony potentially to be the best. In my opinion, he is. But she went in with that thinking that, oh, people think I'm the best, and I have to like to deliver to this. And then suddenly she's out there and things aren't going her way. Like, she's allowed to have a moment. But I thought overall it added to her as a great player because she was able to overcome that.
Peridiam, you're finally, I mean, you might have been before, right on the money. Kim, number 1. You're number 1 for Kim. Why? Why is she same question I asked for Jake, but what separates Kim from the rest of the field we have here?
It's funny. Yeah, I feel like my number 1 and my number 44 are like perfectly matched, and then all the others are all over the place. Other than I think Bob is also at the bottom too. I mean, yeah.
Ouch.
I mean,
you put Underwood.
Yeah, I know. Place. And then I saw Chris rank Bob as like the middle of the pack, and I'm like, what?
I like
Did
Bob.
You typo? Zero.
No,
you added a 0 to the ranking there, Chris. I know. Yeah, I mean, I like Bob too, but yeah, she what hasn't been said already? Like for 39 seasons, she was I usually consider her the GOAT. And then Tony won. And I would say Tony's the GOAT. but I think her individual winning game. I'll say Tony's the GOAT. I do like Tony a lot. I just think like as an individual winning
Can
game.
we clip that and just leave that Peridiam?
Yeah.
There's a video coming up.
that.
There's a video for Survivor 45 coming up where I'm going to give a lot of praise to Tony. Don't worry. But for Kim and her winning game, she controls it from the very beginning. She gets her own like alliance Chiron where her names pop up, and it's like these are the 5 women to focus on. They're going to run the season. They're the final 5, final 6. Kim's there. She is in control. She's got options for her options. She's got so many ways to play this game. Her biggest threat are Troyzan and Leaf. And Tarzan. That's wild. They had to make a complete story out of Tarzan misremembering how to vote. Like that's like the biggest problem against Kim winning, destroying this cast. I would agree. It's not like if I ranked the cast like least competent to play Survivor, this might be number 1. But I'm also not going to sit here and like you weigh that against her winning game. What she did every episode was fantastic. She completely was sitting in the best spot. She was like to have that many options of paths to traverse, and she probably wins in most of them is ridiculous. And unlike Boston Rob, Kim was beloved by this group of people. Boston Rob was not beloved. So when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, Boston Rob completely controlled the season, but he probably loses to like anyone else. Whereas Kim wins against everyone else. And that is such a strong social game to be able to sit with almost anyone in that final 3, even Troyzan, like, and win the game. She probably does beat Troyzan, let's be honest. She probably beats any of the guys. So I just look at it like this is what you want to do when you come on to play Survivor. And it was her first time playing for what it's worth. She didn't come back for a 4th time or a 3rd time or a 2nd time and cement it. She just grabbed the bull by the reins or the boar and just she showed us this is what you should do to completely control a season of the show. Whether you're playing with a brilliant bunch of strategists or you're playing with a bunch of dummies who are, on Survivor One World. So I don't know. Yeah.
Before we go to the rapid fire question for Kim, I first got to ask Jake, why do you think Chris Underwood is such a good Survivor winner?
Oh, because the Edge of Extinction is actually.
Yes, thank you.
So he was setting him up for it. Jake knew it as well.
I knew it. No.
Now you can give your honest
worries.
opinions, Jake.
Yeah.
So my honest opinion is that Chris really is the best winner of all time.
Oh.
Wait. Hold up. Oh, chat. Hold up. We're gonna
No, he's
play
in
this
the
one more
mid.
time.
No, he.
The winner of Survivor, Edge of Extinction, Chris. Up and down.
Chris,
I'll give
that is
opinion. New opinion. He's the median Survivor winner. Changing the
I'll take
game.
I'll take it.
Stick to the plan.
All right. Rapid fire question, chat. Let's go. I'm going to ask everyone on the panel this question. A hypothetical world where Kim never plays Survivor. Do you think in the new era of Survivor, Kim can win? Flynn.
Absolutely.
Peridiam.
No. Yeah, she could win. Of course.
Yes. Chris.
Yeah, 100%.
Jake.
Definitely. I think that her playstyle is one that could win in any era, honestly.
Ooh. Nice.
Maybe.
There we go, chat. We did it. We ranked all 44 winners in Survivor history from worst to best. I think this guy should be number 1, but it is what it is. It's giveaway time. To figure out, we have 26 entries, but there's 66 of you in here right now. So as I just give my closing thoughts, put in chat, stick to the plan, all one word, and you have a chance to win this blue 5-piece Survivor puzzle. Whoever ends up winning, just private message me on Instagram or Discord after this, and I'll make sure to send you the puzzle. 27. We'll go in 3, 2, 1. I better not win. I always say this. It's always stressful. Oh, Big Show Gunna.
Big Show wins.
Oh no.
Did he
You
already-
You're not allowed to DM Peridiam, but you can DM me. Congratulations, you won this 5-piece Survivor puzzle. Everyone
I think
give
that's a
Big Show some W's in the chat.
I think that's his second win.
Is it?
In 4?
Yeah, on
There's no way.
the stream. Yeah, because I believe you talk about Twitter DMs. I think he DM'd me that he won as well. Big Show, you have to confirm.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Big Show, please confirm. Because if you did, I'm doing the draw again. I'm sorry.
Oh, you were okay. He can't be the Tony Vlachos of this. You're not going to
I'll
do
be a
that.
two-time.
I'm not doing that. We have another 2-time winner. Oh, okay. Let me check just 1 second, everyone.
Yeah, he won the
The
second one.
draw is flawed.
He just said he won the second one.
He won? Okay. Big Show, I mean, good congratulations for winning, but I want to spread the love with everyone here.
Make sure you're the greatest
I'll
of
draw
all time.
Yeah, my goodness. Imagine he wins again.
That's crazy. If you win again, then.
It's fate.
It's meant to, it's fate.
All right. Dan, congratulations, Dan. Let's get some W's in the chat for Dan. You're winning this Survivor.
You look like Rick Evans.
Puzzle. It does look like Rick.
Kind of does.
Big Show. That's crazy. You somehow won twice, but Dan, make sure you message me and I will send you the puzzle. Boys, we did it.
It's over. What the heck?
This was a fun one. 66 people in your chat. If you're still in here, drop a like on the stream. This was always so much fun to do, to chat Survivor with a bunch of people who love Survivor. Flynn, I know you don't chat Survivor, but what can people expect from you in the near future?
Oh yeah, like I said, next week we have been hyping up all for the past month pretty much. So next Monday I'll be interviewing at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the winner, one of the goats of Hell's Kitchen, Alex Blue, on my channel. So be tuned in for that. Next Tuesday I'll be doing a season rankings with former contestants Cheyenne and Drew, ranking all 21 seasons of Hell's Kitchen. So like I always say, if you don't know anything about the show, we'll be talking about it and we'll have an objective ranking from all the fans who chose the poll. And then on Thursday before the premiere, I'll be going live for an hour or so, just kind of chill with y'all. So it's going to be an epic week on my channel, and expect more Hell's Kitchen content in general every Sunday.
Awesome. Chris and Jake, on the Nullified Take channel, what can people expect from you coming soon in the near future?
All right, so we've got quite a few shows. Obviously, Survivor 45 content's around the corner, so myself and Jake will start covering that from next week. I'm also going to have previous Survivor players, some US players, some from international franchises, as special guests throughout the season to talk about some of the episodes as well. So jump on the Nullified Take if you want to hear their takes. So one of them haven't actually done anything in a very long time, international winner. In my opinion, if they were a part of this top rankings, they probably would have been in the top 5 as well. So it'd be pretty cool to get their takes on Survivor 45 and the new era of Survivor. We also have on the channel the Amazing Race content. We're going to be covering that weekly. We're going to be covering the Challenge 39. We're finishing off the Challenge USA Season 2. And we've got some interviews coming up for Traders New Zealand, for Traders Australia on the channel. So a lot happening in regards to that. And we just did our first reaction to the new cast that got dropped for Traders prior to going live with you guys. So if you want to see the reaction of the Nullified Take on Traders US Season 2 cast, go and check it out on the channel. There's plenty of content coming.
And Peridiam, what can people expect from you coming soon?
YouTube videos, as always. Survivor starting next week, every Wednesday, right before the episode. I'm going to put up a new video. Also, Big Brother. Big Brother has been pushed back to November this season, which is the longest season ever. And I'll be also making Big Brother videos every Thursday. It's a lot. There's a lot going on with both Survivor
2 videos a week
right now. 2 videos a week. Yeah, 2 videos a week. So Survivor on Wednesday, Big Brother on Thursday. I was sitting there and I was like, there's a lot of overlap right now. I've never had this before. I've never experienced such overlap with both of these shows that I talk about. And I thought, do I just focus on one of the fan bases or the other? And I just said, you know what? Let's just do both. Why not? Let's just put the time in. What else are we doing? So we're watching these shows.
Man of the people.
So I'm excited to do it. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about these. And that's what's going on YouTube. Also, by the way, did you guys know they're making the Survivor intro? It's coming back.
Oh, that's awesome.
What?
That's 90 minutes. They're better.
Every episode for Survivor 45 is having a full-blown intro.
Let's get
That's
it.
amazing.
Nice.
Wow.
What's your take on the 90 minutes? Like, real quick, I know we're finishing off. Do you think that the 90 minutes will add to the show this season? Do you trust that the producers can get it right? Or are you a bit worried that they're just going to continue to focus more on the twists opposed to the personal mechanics and things like that?
Was that who were you asking?
Yeah, to you, Peridiam. Like, do you reckon the 90 minutes is a good thing, or do you?
I think it's nothing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think
Yeah.
it's mostly just going to be more Survivor, which I'm cool with. It's more so like, what is the cast giving us? How weird are the twists? Will it encourage the producers to do weirder, less exciting twists? Maybe, but I don't know. Like, the cast seems chill. I'm okay with the
Fingers
cast.
crossed.
So
Go Sabia.
yeah, I mean, honestly, this is the first time they've ever done this in 45 seasons. That's crazy. Like, that's wild. So if nothing else, I'm just excited to have 90-minute episodes, and I hope I enjoy it.
Nice. And chat, I got Idle Plays coming back. Premiere night. I promise that's when the site will launch. Sorry for the delay. We got 10 puzzles coming out with the Survivor 45 drop. All the ones from Survivor 44 plus a bunch of other ones. It's going to be a crazy time. I've also put together a special bundle where you can get every single puzzle if you want. That's going to be super, super cool. I got my recaps hopefully coming out every Thursday. I'm a little worried because 90-minute episodes, it's going to take a little longer to put my recaps together. So either Thursday or first thing Friday morning, you'll see my recaps of the episode, plus maybe a little bonus every so often. Anyways, this past 4 weeks have been amazing. Chat, thank you for hanging out with us, and have fun with Survivor 45. Peace.
Fun.
Peace.